Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, Punk, Larry. There's a whole bunch of other names that people may call me that aren't so nice. And today I would like to say thank you to Emerald Knight, John, for joining. Thank you very much for joining. How are you?
Good, good. No, thank you, Lawrence or Punk.
What?
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. We got to meet at PowerCon, and it's it when I went down to PowerCon. There were certain people that I knew, that I talked to that I wanted to meet, and then there
Mhm.
were, the other people that you meet that, you and I were sat next to each other, and I think we got talking on football, and I was shocked that you were from Texas. How you all the way up in Ohio for? I didn't even want to be in Ohio, and I'm from Michigan. Uh, and then it's like you find out who you are and your wonderful pictures that you do, and your photography is absolutely amazing. And
Thank you.
I've mentioned it before. The thing that I like the most about your photography is that, and I'm not a photographer, but I think that if I was a photographer, to see your pictures and then see on the next page like exactly what camera you used, shutter speed and all that stuff. I think that's awesome. I've never seen anyone else do it. I mean, I don't know if you got it from someone else, but to me that's awesome because it goes against the whole gatekeeping stuff that I've talked about, where I
Yeah.
hate the people who gate. Um, but yeah, and I'm just like, you have to have a story. You make Super Seven Ultimates look ultimate, and that's a hard ask.
Thank you. Yeah. I take that as a big compliment. And I feel like a lot of people don't shoot Super 7, especially the Joes. At least on Instagram, I figure maybe that could be a little niche for myself. Maybe I can like break through that way. But thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
I mean, I have to say, like, if I was not, if I didn't know my feeling on Super Seven Ultimates, if I saw your pictures, I would be like, wow, these figures have to be awesome because you make them look amazing. And but we've seen some photographers that they do a great job of making your reaction figures look like they're actually in action, and I think
Yeah.
that's super difficult. But that's all from what a photographer can do. So, and I
Thank
know I have a lot of photography people in here. I know Matthew was super excited when he heard that you were going to be on, and sometimes I forget to tell him who I have lined up. But before we get started, I just want to ask, where does your name Emerald Knight come from?
So that is a not really a long, windy road, but essentially, I'm a Green Lantern fan. Green's my favorite
Oh,
color. Yeah, green's my favorite color. Emerald Knight, that's kind of a nickname, and that was kind of a, I think they called that. That was like one of the storylines from back in the day. But yeah, that's it's just always I've always kind of had that because not to get ahead, but originally that was going to be like my film studio production name. It was going to be Emerald Knight Productions or Emerald Knight Studios.
okay.
That goes back to like back when I was in high school and shooting short films and everything. But it kind of like, and I was trying to find something for IG. Now that when I started transitioning to and doing toy photography, I was like, oh shoot, Emerald Night Photos. I mean, that's like it's right there. I mean, it harkens back to a time in my life when I thought I was going to go this way, but I ended up taking a different path. Well, and now I'm here, doing this as a hobby and something I love doing. So yeah, it's like perfect little meld. So, but yeah, it's pretty much green's my favorite color, as you can see, and then also it's tied to Green Lantern. So
And I would have never guessed that it was tied to Green Lantern. But once you say it, it's like it makes sense because Emerald Knight. I mean, it sounds very sophisticated.
really, okay,
Punk with Toys does not, but when you see Emerald, then you think
yeah.
Emerald Knight. A Punk with Toys, you're like, yeah, we know these types of people. But no, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd like when I see people come in and they have a name. I always want to know what it is. Some people come in and they just have their typical name, And you're like, well, there's really no reason to ask how you got that one because if you're so
Yep.
Cool wants to hide in the chat before we get started. We have Krusty Old Crow here. We have Largo's Lair. We have My Buddy's Custom.
What's
So
up, bud?
I'm going to make sure once I get that next YouTube check that I sue him that he can never use that name Lawrence again. Astro is here. Matthew Matson, the moderator. We have Turkish Murphy is in the house. Chad N. Action Figs, my other moderator. And we have Ray Black. Krusty Old Crow says, I love the storytelling concepts that are work when you see great toy photography. I look forward to hearing John share some of that tonight, fingers crossed. Well, I can't promise anything because you guys have been long enough. And I may call Monday night as the only rambling, but let's be honest. If you watch the video I just put out, you realize how much I ramble on about nothing. That's what happens when you don't use a script. Matthew, words are hard. I said numerous times I'm not a strong reader, never have been.
Really?
Yeah. It's bad enough I can't see. Like the glasses, I have bifocal, so by the end of the night, it's already fuzzy. That just makes it harder to read the stuff that I can't read. It has no reason why I can't read certain words, but I struggle at times getting through the sentence because my mind's trying to think about it, and I'm like, that doesn't make. Oh, wait a minute, I read it wrong.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So, do you mind me asking about what age you are?
Yeah, I am 41. Had to think about that for a second. I keep telling people I turned 42 this year in September, but yeah, I'm 41. So.
Oh, you still got time, and you're a baby.
No, man, no.
You're a baby, man, still.
No, I appreciate that. I actually, in my toy photography group, I'm actually one of the oldest. So yeah, appreciate that.
Don't you have Matthew Matson and Action Figs in it?
Oh no, it's the Geeked Out Click. So it's
okay.
Yeah, it's a toy photography group that we kind of just we just band together and kind of help support each other's pages and stuff like that.
I like to get Ed in as many groups that I'm in that I know he's by far way older than me, so he's in his 50s. Just like my kid's mother. All right, so I guess you would have grown up. You missed, the 70s.
Yeah.
Obviously, but so your toys would have been what you're growing up on. You would have been growing up on Turtle. So where were you born at, and what was your family life like?
I was born and still live here in Dallas, Texas. Well, currently I'm more on the Fort Worth side, which is. If you know anything about the map of Texas, I'm more on the west side of the Metroplex. And because Texas is a big state, I mean, where I was traveling from today from Dallas, it takes me like with traffic almost 2 hours to get back to my house. So I was actually worried I was gonna miss the show because traffic.
So
go ahead.
What city do you live in?
It's Burleson, but it's like South Fort Worth, basically. And
okay.
whenever I tell people that, here that I have to work with, or, where I was at today at a site visit, it was, oh, wait, because dang, you came all the way over there from there. It's like, yeah, it's about an hour and a half. And then when I go home, it's gonna be about 2 hours, but it's not really distance wise, not long. It's just the traffic. Traffic just sucks around here. It's just bad. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I do understand the traffic, and again, we don't have mass transit because we build cars here, so our mass transit never happened. I'm fine with that because I need a car for what I do anyway.
No. But then once we get the World Cup here in Arlington, that is going to be crazy. I mean, that I like soccer and everything. I like watching. I like going, but that is going to be insane. There's going to be so many people here. It's going to be pretty much the Super Bowl like every day when it's being played here. So yeah, that's going to be crazy.
Where's it being played at?
At Jerry World.
Oh, I love it when you guys call it.
It is. I mean, that's what it is.
Our training, well, the training we used to go to at first was in Irving. So we'd fly into Dallas Fort Worth. They'd pick us up, or we'd take the shuttle, and it was right there. Um, so that's why I
Uh,
always ask, like, 'cause I know Matthew's in Dallas, and I'm
okay.
assuming I'm assuming you guys are the same. Where if uh, if you tell someone you're from Dallas in Texas, and then they find out you're not, they're like, you're not really from Dallas.
Yeah, they're pretty
People do
much.
that with
Yeah.
Detroit, and I tell people I'm from Detroit. But if you tell someone here you're from Detroit, you're like, no, you're from the suburbs. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But if
Yeah.
I tell you that I'm from Mount Clemens, you're going to go, where's that at? I'm going to say
Mhm.
it's on the east side of Detroit. It's a lot easier to say Detroit.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. If I say, "Oh, I'm from this town," they'll be like, "Where's that at?" I'm from Dallas. It's just easier. It's just like, it's like a dart. It's like on the map. You can see it right there. And even Fort Worth. Some people are like, "Where? Fort what?" It's like, no, just Dallas.
Well, yeah, because again, like, if you're talking about Texas, if you say Houston, it's a
Yeah.
whole different area, or San
Yep.
Antonio, completely different area, and not everyone understands that. It's like we're from the Detroit area. It's a very large area,
Yes.
but Grand Rapids is way over here, and Lansing's up there. So, and this is rambling.
That's good. I actually
So,
saw.
oh,
Just real quick, I saw Matt in the chat. He said, if I'm going to the DFW GI Joe action figure toy show, and I'm like, no, because that's the same week as Joe Fest, and I will be going to meet you, fine sir, and everybody else in Joe Fest in Augusta. So
see, Matthew, we keep telling you, come to Joe Fest. That's where you really need to go.
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Ed says there's no traffic out by the creek. Just mud. And we have Woody is here, and so is Astrodamus.
What's up,
Um,
Oz?
aren't you supposed to be on Frenzy right now? Or is that not tonight? He's probably doing double duty. He's probably on Frenzy watching. So what was your family life growing up? Did you have siblings or?
So I have an older brother and older sister. I was pretty much, I hate saying it, but I was kind of like the surprise because my mom and dad, they my brother's 9 years older than me, my sister's 7 years older than me. So they had the boy and the girl like right off the bat, boom, boom, boom. And like, all right, we're good, we've got the house too. Like we're set, 3 bedrooms, everything. And then a couple years go by, and like, oops. It's like, oh crap! Now we have to find a bigger house. I mean, this changed the whole dynamic. We were done. We were like, finished. So it was fun. It's so funny because I have strong memories because people always tell me all the time, like, how can you be into Joe Motu, all that stuff. Like I remember growing up in the '80s and just being in like still playing with those figures. I mean, I remember having vivid memories, especially around 84, 85, even though I was probably like 2 or 3 playing with them. And it's so funny because my brother, he says this now, he knows I do all the YouTube stuff and Instagram. He's like, hey, make sure when you tell these people that I gave you those, I introduced you to He-Man. I had He-Man first. You would have known anything about He-Man unless I handed my Star Wars, my He-Mans, my G.I. Joes. I mean, just tell them that you got them because of me. I was like, okay, you started me off, but then I ran with it. So, um,
I feel
go-
like more than any toy throughout the 80s and into the 90s, Motu survived the best.
hmm?
Maybe because like once the arm fell off, you just popped it right back on. When a
Yeah,
GI Joe broke, it
you're
broke,
done.
and you didn't know how to put it back together.
Yep.
Transformers didn't seem to last. Once they got super flimsy, they just fell over.
Yeah.
You couldn't just. But I feel like a lot of kids continue to play with because when I hear some of the guys that I talk to in your age that talk about Motu, I'm like, wasn't that long gone? It was really only a big 3 years space, I believe. I mean,
Well,
they had more stuff, but it was popular for 3 years. I watched the documentary on it on
yeah.
Netflix.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love that documentary.
It
But it's like
was so good.
yeah, it was like 85 with his peak, and I do remember that. Like that was like, and that's really probably when I got all in and really was hyped up about it and watching the Power Hour with She-Ra and He-Man. And then it kind of started falling off, but you can still find stuff in '86 and then '87 with the movie. I mean, I was completely hyped up for that. That was actually, I think, my first like moving going experience. Was going to go see the He-Man movie, Masters of the Universe, the motion picture. But yeah, it had, I firmly believe, because I remember so significantly during those early 80s and then into the mid to late 80s, it's still, I mean, it was still kicking around. I mean, it was still, I mean, damn, Ghostbusters too. They mentioned, they wanted He-Man to at the Ghostbusters, and that was in '89. It's like He-Man should have been like long gone at that point, but no, he was still in the consciousness, the of everybody out there, popular culture. But
Yeah.
uh
I feel like that was something that stuck around when. And again, I think a lot of it just has to do with they were big, bulky figures, and
yeah.
I mean, even now you'll find them in. If you look at them, it's like, hey, it looks like like when I was playing with them. But G.I. Joe, once the thumb is done, it's nothing you can do. You can survive without the crotch, but without the thumb, it's like, can't really put a weapon in their hand anymore.
if a leg came off, sometimes I would be fine with that. I know I had a couple of figures where their legs, like the below the knee, would just break off, or the screw would come off. Hey, I would just put it back on, because it would just pop, just pop in and out. Just have him standing right there, and then like, oh, battle damage, and just, oh, his leg got blown off, and then boom, there you go.
Or are they stuck in a vehicle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I had a clutch and a slipstream that had one leg, and they were just always in the vehicle. Don't you think it's time to get out? No, I mean, I'm staying in here.
Yeah.
So, as a kid, what lines did you really get drawn to?
So Motu and Joe's, depending on how I felt that particular day, either one could be my favorite. So I always say it was a 1A, 1B. They seemed like they were coming in at the same time. Again, my brother, he was kind of moving on, and not, he's getting too old for figures, but they were still, you can still see them on the shelves, and they were still very popular. So I had his collection, and I just had this mass of just, G.I. Joes and Motu figures, and still getting them. So definitely those were my top. And then Real Ghostbusters came out. And then I didn't really I love Thundercats the show, but I only had Mumra and Lion-O, and that was pretty much it. Like I was, at that point, my dad's like, hey, it's like, come on now, you got all this other crap you can play with. Just play with that. I'm not buying this other stuff. But Ghostbusters, yeah, I remember getting really into that. And a funny story about that. My first Ghostbuster was Winston, and it's funny how I got it, because it was just me, my sister, and my brother, home alone. We're latchkey kids back then. Both our parents worked, so they're like, yeah, older brother or sister can take care of you. So my sister, we're in our parents' room, horsing around, and she has me by my ankles and swinging me around, and I hit the side of my parents' bed and basically just like made a big old gash in my head. And yeah, I was just like, there was blood coming out and everything. And, everybody's freaking out. So they take me to the hospital. My dad's just like, hey, what do you need? They're going to roll you in, whatever you need. It's like, oh, I just want a Ghostbuster. Like, I remember saying that to him as they're wheeling me into the emergency room to get me stitched up. I was like, I just want a Ghostbuster, Dad. Just give me a Ghostbuster. So I get home, I got this big old bandage, I'm just like, whatever, just, playing with what I have. And my dad walks in, he's just like, here, I got you this. Now I wanted Peter Venkman, he's my favorite. And I had seen him on the shelf. I seen the commercials, but when he gave me Winston, I was like, oh, thanks. But deep down, just like, oh, but I always had that memory though. I got Winston. That was my first one to kick it off. But yeah, I got it because I got a big old gash in my head.
Your dad crushed your heart right after you had your head smashed in, huh?
Yep. But yeah, I always find that story amusing.
I can remember getting something that my mom went out of her way to get, and I was such a brat about it, and my dad just railed into me about it. And I can remember another time my mom bought figures. This is how spoiled I was. I think a lot changed after she passed away. Like I was mad that she bought something. She told me other figures that were at Kmart, and she bought me she buys me something while she's out there, and I was, unappreciative of it because it wasn't what I wanted, especially. Yeah. And I remember her coming in, and was like, "Fine." She's like, "Where are those figures? I'll take them back." I already opened them, and if I remember correctly, she actually went up and bought the ones that I wanted. So you can kind of understand why I had.
Yeah.
I think over time, I that attitude of mine changed, but I can
Yeah.
remember that, and um, not my best moments. I can say that for sure.
And I think that's a lot of kids growing up. I mean, I think you don't. I mean, I know I was definitely like that. Like I would just be throwing a fit and stuff, and I know I wouldn't go to the dentist. I hate going to the dentist, and my mom had to be like, okay, well, I'll take you to Toys R Us afterwards. I'll take you to KB's, and it's just that whole kind of bribing type of deal. And then when they do, or say they are going to get you something, all right, just be here and I'll get you something afterwards. And they do it, and it's like, oh, this is what I wanted, but it's like, what? What do you want me? It's like my parents are probably just like, oh gosh, man. It's like because I remember when Batman came out, the '89 version, and I told my dad like, oh, me and my brother go see the movie. We get out, and my dad's like, hey, I got you the the figure. And take it out of the bag, and it's the Joker. I'm like, Dad, this is. I said Batman. I was like, they had no Bat. They didn't have Batman. What do you want me to do? So,
But realistically, when you think about it, yeah, you'd want the Joker, but like,
yeah,
what am I gonna do with the Joker if I don't have Batman?
exactly.
Like it is a logical thing that as a kid you'd be like, what the hell am I gonna do with this? It's
Yep.
called Batman. And that's probably the reason why there weren't any there.
Yeah.
But I love that. What am I gonna do with this?
Exactly. Yeah. And and I had the Superpowers Batman, which was another line I was into the Superpowers collection. So my dad has like, you got that other one at the house. Just play with that one. Just be quiet. I'm tired. It's like I had to stand. I had to like be. There's like tons of people. Like, yeah, just play with it. You got the other Batman. That's like, I want the black one.
So did you cross your lines over? Like, would you play GI Joe with He-Man, or did
Yeah.
you look at them and say they didn't scale? Nope, wasn't happening.
Yeah, pretty much. I would do that. It's so the weirdest crossover I would do. I had this was later on, even though Ghostbusters was kind of out of, was kind of getting faded out, but Kenner was coming out with that Alien Predator kind of crossover wave, that whole
Wow.
the Space Marine. So I would always take the Predator, and because Predator 2 is like one of my favorites. I don't know, I've told people this and they kind of just like, what the heck, over Predator? It's like, yeah, Predator 2 is like, when I have to rank them, there it is, my favorite. But I would always pretend the Predator, that's, we're
Why?
in that. I'm
Why?
just,
Why? I mean, is there just a connection, or?
well, well, for one, I think because I'd watch it, it seems like it was always on HBO on a Saturday night, right after Tremors and right before Terminator 2. And it was just like, it just seems it was on all the time. And I
I
just
love
watched it.
that.
I'd watch it over and over again, and it became my favorite. But I definitely would cross over the Predator I had with the Ghostbusters and make it seem like he was in the city, and then hunting them down and stuff. So that's kind of like one of the weirdest crossovers. I don't even know why. I guess maybe because I was watching Predator 2 all the time, and I was like, I want to recreate that in the city. And you kind of had with the firehouse, you kind of could recreate that with the Ecto One and everything, and do some cool little deaths for the Ghostbusters until only one remained.
Which is Venkman, I'm assuming, right?
Sometimes I would pretend Winston is he was Danny Glover. So
Oh, okay. That all
yeah,
right. So your dad did pick the right one, I guess, at times, huh?
yeah, that was perfect timing. It's like
I think it's awesome. Like I can remember movies that were always on
yeah,
as a kid, which I don't think kids nowadays will get, because you just go and you flip on whatever streaming
mhm.
service you want to watch. But not only was it always Godzilla, The Legend of Billie Jean was always on.
Yes.
Always. Soul Man, which people seem to forget Soul Man. That was on all
Oh,
the time.
was C. Thomas Howell?
Yes, where he takes too many
Yeah.
tanning pills so he can be black, and then he
Yep.
instantly becomes a fro just so he can get a scholarship. Like,
That's-
I don't think that's gonna fly today. I'm just saying.
No, definitely not. No.
But Predator was that was the first rated R movie that I went to go see. that I remember my dad taking me. And I told a story on another stream when we were on. And the most memorable thing that I remember is, you remember when they mowed down everything where after Ventura gets shot and they
Yeah,
chase
yeah.
after it and they just mow it down. They mow down that whole thing, and some guy in the theater goes, "Anyone want to build a house here?" Like, that's what I remember, because now it was complete. And my dad thought that was hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
that is my dad's sense of humor. It's
How old were you when you went to go see it, when you saw Predator?
well, it came out in '87, I believe.
Yeah,
I think
87.
it was '87. So, I mean, I was born technically 3 days before, 76. So roughly 11, maybe 11 or
Okay.
12.
Okay.
Yeah, not old enough to see a rated R movie. But
I,
that was just violence. I mean,
I mean,
I've
yeah,
been playing GI Joe, so
I saw it when my dad brought that with RoboCop on V. I guess maybe have been a few months or a year later, but yeah, he brought both of those over from the video store because my dad used to make copies of tapes, and people nowadays they won't even remember that. Like, to hell with going out and actually buying a tape for whatever it was at the time. Like, no, I'm just gonna go rent it, make a copy of it, and send it back. So he'd always, we had tons of all these blank tapes, with labels on there and stuff like that. And yeah, he brought over RoboCop and Predator, and me and my brother just sat down and watched it. And I was probably like 5 or 6. Like, I mean, if you
that's
think
too
you're too
early.
young, I
That's
was,
too early.
I mean, and of course it was violent, so it didn't really. They're like, whatever, It's like there's no nudity, no sex or anything. You're fine. That's like,
Yeah, but when it comes to RoboCop, I might almost want my kid to see boobs rather than some of that stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
That movie
it
was
is worse.
pretty graphic at points.
It is, and it's one of my favorite. I got a poster of it, and it's one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I actually saw that documentary. I think it was on Prime, but it was like, I love just everything about it. But definitely too young. Because I remember when Kenny, when he gets blown away, it was just like me and my brother was just like, this is so like he's gone. Like he's like, he just got mowed down. Like, because you always see like when somebody gets shot at that time. I mean, like with the A team, they're unloading all these, bullets, and like they're just hitting the ground. I mean, it's just like you don't really see any real get, shot up like that. I mean, we
Yeah,
would do it all the time with our GI Joes. I mean, how we kind of made that connection before watching something like that for the first time, but just knowing like, oh, this guy has a machine gun, so he's gonna just go da 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 da, and he's gonna kill this guy, and like there's gonna be blood, and but to see it finally, with RoboCop, I was just like, oh my god, that's what I've been doing with my GI Joes. I finally get to see it. This guy just got blown away. So yeah, I
Clint
mean,
says
definitely one of my favorites.
Clint says he still have his RoboCop and one of the villains from the '80s, and they made a cartoon for
Yes.
kids for that,
Yeah.
along
Yeah.
with Rambo. Like,
Yeah.
they're
Actually,
not doing a Walking Dead or Saturday morning commercial. All right, which
no.
there's no Saturday morning Walking Dead cartoon for kids.
No, and with the figures too. I mean, it was just I don't know, and they talk about it in the documentary, but it's just like there was just that connection. There was just a connection of okay, this looks cool. It's violent, but you know what? We're gonna make toys out of it. We're going to make a cartoon. We're gonna market this to kids somehow, and they did because we were still watching the live action film, and I remember that. I remember the ones with the figures with the caps. Fire them in the back, and that was again for me. I had favorite lines, but I would also just like get into all like RoboCop and just get the RoboCop at 209 and maybe two of the goons and move on to something else and pick that up. And I mean, really, Motu, Joe's, Ghostbusters, and Turtles. I mean, those were like my main lines. But then I would just get, you know, just anything else that came out. I mean, it was just if it came out and had a cartoon tied to it, I'm getting it. So I mean, they did that with everything, and it was for me. It was a great time to grow up, but yeah, I could see how some parents would be like, "Oh God, now you want this? Like, what the heck?" It's like I just bought you this other thing. Now you want this thing because you saw it on the TV with the commercials or at the show.
For me, like, it was, we were talking about it on another show not too long ago, and I was just like, I don't even remember if I had that many Motu figures. A friend of mine had A friend of mine, that's what he collected. So when I was over his house all the time, we were always playing with it. And then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I don't even remember how many. Like, I was thinking, I'm like, I know I had He-Man, Skeletor. Of course, then I started thinking about more. I'm like, wait, Stratos. I didn't have many vehicles, but I don't remember wanting. And I had a lot of different toys, but I don't remember after finding GI Joe really wanting anything else. Then I
Mhm.
had some Transformers, had some GoBots. Um, but like once I found GI Joe, I don't really remember wanting other lines because it was just like GI Joe. If I can get more GI Joe, good.
Yeah.
So maybe it just worked out better. But my parents, they made sure I had more than anything that I needed. Um, so yeah, it is. I never thought about it as like, all right, you can play with a couple of them, but you're not getting every single toy line
Yeah.
you walk into, which would be great for a lot of people today. It'd be like, I'm only collecting these lines. I'm not collecting
It's
every
tough.
fucking
I
one that I
mean,
see.
it's tough. I mean, like I'm dealing with that now. 20, 30 years later now as a 40-year-old, and it's just like it's so crazy because now it's my money. Before it was my parents' money, now it's my money. Now it's my money. So that is the yeah, that is the hard pill to swallow. But it's just yeah, it's always fun to kind of I mean, my parents still have all my, my mom when I went to go every time I go see her, I mean, she's like, when you gonna get that stuff? What stuff? All that stuff in your room. It's like, what are you talking about? And I go up there and look, I'm like, holy crap, this is all my figures are here. Like everything I had as a kid. Because I mean, the other thing I really got into in the 90s, me and my dad did was the power of the force. I mean, we got all into that. I mean, we got deep into Power of the Force because my dad thought like, hey, if these vintage Star Wars figures are going to be worth something, man, we got to get on this. I mean,
so
we
so your dad was as dumb as I was, thinking
I
they were going to be worth
oh
money.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. He thought it was going to be the next big thing because I mean, I don't even know how we got into that. I think because my dad, and I think that's where I get it from because my dad was a collector as well. He was somebody that whether it
Oof.
was cars, coins, whatever it is. I mean, he was deep down. He's got that in his DNA, and I think that's where I get it as well. But yeah, once he found out, like, hey, these old figures that belong to you and your brother, now they're worth like even loose, they're worth a lot of money. And then Power of the Force comes out, and he's just like, yeah, we gotta get on this. We gotta don't open it, like just. So I mean, there's like I have Millennium Falcon, I have all the vehicles, at least from the first couple waves of the
Couple
of the
waves,
line,
yeah.
yeah. And then after that, kind of just like this is too much. Like it's like it's too much.
So, and I always say collectors shouldn't have kids because I mean I've told the Care Bear story numerous times where my stepdaughter there was like nine Care Bears and they were re-released, and they were at Walgreens, and I found eight of them, and I could never find the ninth one, and I just remember um, her mom being like, she doesn't care. I'm like, that's not the point. The point is there's nine of them out there. She has eight of them, and I never found the ninth one. And I don't even think she has those Care Bears anywhere. I'm sure they're in the trash somewhere.
Yeah,
But the point was, I was all over looking for it, and my ex would always be like, she doesn't care. That's not the point. The point is, there's nine. She has eight. What part of that don't you understand?
yeah,
It's simple math. There's only one left. Right?
yep.
um, Brock Bowers is who the Raiders picked for you, tight end.
Yeah, I saw that come across
Is
one of
that
my
you
buddy. I'm
like?
just, I'm just like, okay, well, that's over with. That's a, I mean,
The Broncos selected Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon.
yeah, I'm just like, holy crap. So we suck again. Well, we still suck, but
um, so normally, as we get older, usually into our teens, and usually stops in middle school, but if not, then goes into high school. Did you ever stop collecting or playing with toys?
and I'm trying to remember the timeline because I know it was like there was a point where it kind of stopped before high school. It was kind of like after maybe like elementary into middle school, and then like high school. That's kind of where I stopped. Even until late high school, because my cousins were kind of telling me, because I would still have my bring my figures over like whenever we went to go visit them and stuff like that. And like they're like, John, man, you can't be doing this. Pew 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 pew. You can't. I mean, you're getting too old for that, man. You gotta stop bringing. Having these. Having these action figures with you. In Spanish, I mean, being Mexican, we call it monos, and that's what we were saying. Don't bring these monos over, because you're too big. So and so it was one of those things where it's just like, oh, in the back of my mind, because I looked up to them, because not only being the youngest in my immediate family, I was also the youngest around my cousins.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So me and my other cousin were, me and her were pretty much the last, last generation until this next wave came around. But yeah, we were
The next wave.
Yeah,
like
the next one.
Like their action figure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go. And so yeah, I always looked up to them because they were a lot older than me. They were my brother's age, and they always, they were more like brothers with each other than he was to me, actually, but just the age difference. But yeah, they would just tell me that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, I guess I shouldn't. Yeah, and I kind of put that away. But essentially, I tell myself now, it's like I just went in the closet. I was just in the closet, just trying to, just put. And that's what it was. I was just like, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. But then when we got into collecting, me and my dad, with Power of the Forest, that was more or less like a investment type, not really.
And that's what made me think, because when you said your dad, and I'm like, well, if you're 6 years younger than me, right? 6 years, 7 years younger than me.
Yep.
I mean, when Power of the Forest came out, you'd be right in that age where, like, normally you don't play with toys, but if your dad is like, hey, let's go get this.
Yeah.
He's allowing you to continue to collect toys, and then you can pass it off to your friends as, well, it's my dad's thing, but he makes me go.
Exactly. Yeah. It was in the guise of an investment of, hey, this stuff's gonna be worth money one of these days. So, I'm gonna jump in on this. Cause yeah, I think Power of the Force was like 95, I think, or it was around that time, around mid-90s. And then yeah, we kind of got all into that, and it kind of just delved further in, with other stuff. But I kind of was dipping my toes with things here and there after that. But truly, like in high school, I was kind of like, no, I can't. That's, especially in high school, because that I couldn't let anybody know that I was into action figures and stuff like that, or comic books. It's just like, that was a big, I mean, to think at some point, if you say you like Star Wars, they're like, oh, you're a freaking nerd. Like, let's go beat this guy up. There was a point in life where that was the, you could not say you're a Star Wars fan.
I was a skateboarder, man. Like, I was a skateboarder in the worst time, and I didn't care. I didn't care. But believe me, when jocks would see you, they didn't like you for no reason other than you were riding a skateboard. And so I understand that one completely. So as you got into high school, you stopped. I guess you really didn't stop because your dad was doing it. But what else did you start doing? You mentioned comic books, and it seems like a lot of people transition to comics because it's not as nerdy, I feel, in people's eyes.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what it was. And it was Green Lantern that I kind of started getting into, and only just because I remember Green Lantern being Hal Jordan, just based on the figure that I had, from the Superpowers line and watching the cartoons, the Super Friends. And then I see this new Green Lantern, and I come to find out it's this guy, Kyle Rayner. And I'm like, oh, this is like, what's going on here? And I kind of go back in history a few years back and find out what happened and how he became the Green Lantern. And I started getting really into comics at that point with not just him, but also Batman and Superman. And yeah, it was just like, it kind of started going into that. And I was more into, like, I was getting, like, not really statues, but getting collectibles of DC comic heroes and stuff. So it was kind of, it was kind of in that line. It was like not really action figures, but still part of that geekdom and collecting kind of deal. But yeah, it kind of was like going off and on for a couple years. And then as soon as I graduated high school, it pretty much kind of just like shut off. I kind of was like, I definitely can't be getting some of this stuff. Some of the stuff I did have, I kind of would have displayed like on my desk or whatever, but I didn't really get a whole heavy into it until like years later, probably into my 30s with Hot Toys. And you know, by then, I was like, again, I just, I was living alone in my house, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get some of these because these look really cool. And I think my first one was the Michael Keaton Batman hot toy, and then that's always been my favorite look of Batman was the Keaton version. And then I got the Superman Christopher Reeve version, and I mean, I don't have a lot, just a few here and there, but I kind of was going down that route. And then really, truly, I mean, it really came down to, I mean, just a couple years ago when COVID hit and being in lockdown and seeing, I don't even know how. I was seeing stuff on Instagram, or I was seeing stuff, just like online, social media and stuff, and it was just like, man, these figures look 10 times better than what I remember having. And it was actually the Storm Collectibles figures, the Mortal Kombat ones, that kind of like, dang, these look hell of a lot good. I mean, a hell of a lot better than I remember playing with. And then I mean, by that time I'm married, so like, okay, I got the girl, so I can she's locked in now. I mean, it's like I can't, I mean, like, so she's all in, so I can't, I don't have to worry about like scaring her off or anything. It's like, hey, this is what you married. So it's like, because by then I had already started collecting some replica WWE title belts. So
Oh, jeez.
yeah, just enough for one DTOL. So just 4 belts. So not crazy, but still four
So,
replicas.
so Oz here says, I was in 5th grade bringing Star Wars toys to school. Didn't care as I had my Star Wars. Also, I was bigger than most of the kids in my school and picked on the bullies my damn self. We also found out that Oz at 18, 19, 20 would go to Pokemon tournaments and pick on little 8-year-olds that didn't know how to really play. So there's that.
Yep.
Which I think is awesome. I think they came out on the Clubhouse or Punk's Pit, whatever, where Oz is like, yeah, we used to like roll up in our car and we do these Pokemon tournaments with these 8 and 9-year-olds, and it's like, you hearing yourself? Like, you hearing what you're saying? I used to go to these karate tournaments, and when I was like 19 years old, and I'd enter against the 8-year-olds, and I always won. I have all these trophies. Oh, I'm sorry. He was 16, 17, not quite an adult. And the kids weren't quite teenagers yet. So as you go through high school, did you ever get into, like, were you into sports? Did you play sports?
Yeah.
Did you do anything that was more not toyish?
Yeah, I was on the football team, varsity team. I was kind of heavier set back then. So I was on the offensive defensive line. And whenever I have nightmares thinking about that. Cause I remember whenever like the first grading period would go through and then we'd lose half our team because of, grades, and I'd have to play both sides pretty much. I wasn't really, could get a break. And so that was always a pain. Yeah.
I didn't think you were that big when I met you.
No. I lost weight after high school. Yeah, I was like,
I didn't think you were that tall either.
No. I'm only 5 again. Yeah, I'm only 5'7" or so, but yeah,
Okay.
I was like 225, I think, at my heaviest. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, again, I was actually one of the taller linemen on our squad too. So that was kind of funny. And it was like our last year, my last year playing, and my senior year, we actually went up to 5A. And so, if I'm one of the tallest linemen and we're going up to the 5A division and we're playing against schools that mean business, and it's like, holy crap. Yeah, that was kind of a scary thing, because our first couple of teams we played were like, I'm like the what the heck? Like, we're like the smallest team. We're we're tiny against these guys.
I remember in high school the football players seeming so big.
Yeah.
Muscular wise and everything. And I mean, I can't imagine they were that big, but one of our, one of my clients is Divine Child, and that's where um, the Lions pick. Aiden went before he went to Michigan, and again, going from 18 years old, 17, 18 to 19, 20, you
Mhm.
get much, much, much bigger.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You get much bigger. I mean, I didn't get much bigger. I got more muscular, but I didn't get much taller or taller at all. Either way. So you played football. We don't get a lot of that with in the toy industry here, in the toy groups.
Yeah, football has always been my favorite. We were talking before the show. Yeah, my favorite team is the now the Las Vegas Raiders. When I uh, first started following them, they were the Los Angeles Raiders, and then became the Oakland Raiders, and now they are Las Vegas. But yeah, I've always loved the sport. Yeah, me and my wife, we don't have kids, but I mean, I would definitely be one of those parents who, like, he's playing football. Like, I mean, I know parents nowadays, they just don't, because of CT and Brent, it's like, no, he's playing football. I mean, you can be safe. I never had any problems, playing. So I would definitely be one of those, like, he is going to be playing football, or yeah, that would be like no debate. Like, if we had a boy, yeah, he's definitely gonna be playing football, because I had a great time playing it. And of course, being here in Texas, that is life. That is, I mean, that is a big deal around here. So it's so funny though. After I graduated, my lineman coach, he actually ended up being the head coach, and won state twice. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, we would always kind of, he was I mean, the head coach that we had at the time, he really wasn't a people person. He really wasn't. I mean, he would only focus on the offense and like his superstars. And our lineman coach, he was a real kind of just like, I go through a brick wall for him, man. I mean, he would get me so hyped up, and he has your back. And he'd watch wrestling with us, because at that time, mid '90s, late '90s. I mean,
Oh,
wrestling is like, at
so
that point, yeah. I mean, you can walk around, probably a couple years before that. If you said you're a wrestling fan, you get the hell kicked out of you. But now, I mean, at that point, you can walk around with a DX shirt, NWO, Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're just like, heck yeah, man. They just,
that was a lot. Like, I'm not as that was way more mainstream than skateboarding, but same thing. Before, like, if you're a skateboarder now, no one cares.
yeah,
Wrestling was the same way. Like, during Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 3, when Hulk Hogan went away, like, no one really, cared. There wasn't anything until the NWO
Mhm.
DX. I think it was more DX, and then once NWO hit, then it was like the goody two shoes guy is a bad guy.
Yeah,
Everyone loved it. Everyone wanted to see what's going to happen next, including myself.
yeah,
I was super excited during that point. But it's funny what you said about if you had a kid and you had a son, you'd want him to play football. I remember I was like, man, I have a boy. He's going to skateboard. And my ex
yeah.
was always like, no, I don't want him to get hurt. My kids might have nothing to do with skateboarding, and that's fine. That's choice. And I will never forget, Andrew was a baby. Here he is. He's sitting on my lap, and the X Games are on, and I stop. And I'm sure some of you have seen the Jake Brown fall. And
Yeah,
that's when, yeah, his
I saw
shoes
it.
literally blow off. And he's literally, I mean, he's a baby. And we're watching it, and that happens.
Mm.
It can't be Tony Hawk making the first 900. It has to be Jake Brown, who's my height, come crashing down 50 feet. How he survived, let alone walked away, but survived.
Yeah.
And I just remember her looking at me and going, no. And I went, we don't even skate that. Like, damn it. It was like, oh, there goes that.
Yep.
But they
Mm.
never had any want for that anyway. Hey, you know what? That's my thing. But I had always wanted them to skateboard because I'd be like, hey, I'm taking the kids to the park. And it'd be like, you going to the skate park? It's still a park. Sorry. I mean, that's just what it's called. What do you want me to say? um, so as you graduated, did you go off to school? Did you go right into the workforce or?
So I, my passion at that time, and was to get into the film and television industry. I grew up at that point, during the '90s and so forth with like Tarantino and Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez, and I had these delusions of like, oh, I'm gonna make a short film, or I'm gonna make a independent movie, just like bare bones and super cheap, and it's gonna like explode, and I'm gonna make it that way. And I would shoot short films, in high school and stuff like that, and even afterwards. But it just it was such a different time back in 2000. Equipment was a lot. It was a lot harder to break into that industry, and then also just we don't have a format like YouTube now, or stuff you can do. You can shoot 4K on your phones. I mean, it was very, very difficult. But I did do internships around different production houses here in Dallas. Worked on a couple movie sets and stuff, and kind of just that was like the genesis of kind of laying the foundation of understanding lighting, and kind of just understand what you need to do to manipulate light. But that was more for, again, for motion pictures. And now it's so funny now when I look at my setups and I back away, I'm like, damn, this is like a smaller, just a scaled down version of a movie set or a studio set that I would always have to light. um and because now, I mean, you're using smaller scale lights, but again, it's the same kind of concept, using flags, using cinefoil, gels, diffusion, and yeah, that's kind of like where I learned. I learned under a couple cinematographers and lighting directors, just understanding those basics. But again, I needed something to kind of. It was just like a lot of times I was working for free. So my dad's like, "Hey, you gotta, you're just sitting here on the couch, eating Cheetos. You need to, do something. I mean, this other stuff here, if it ain't making you any money, you need to figure something out. Because I'm not gonna. I mean, time's ticking. Because otherwise, I'm gonna kick you out here soon. It's like you're gonna have to figure it out. Because I figured it out, and I raised 3 kids, so you're gonna have to, So he actually, I'll just say he worked at a company. It was it's for the DoD,
Okay.
and my brother ended up working there as well. Still works there. And then he said, "Hey, let me get you in the door over here, and then it's a steady job, stable paycheck, and then you can figure something out afterwards." So I started working there, kind of like in 2000. I believe it was 2004. So I graduated high school in 2001. We always used to like to say we're the real class of the millennium, or the real class of the new millennium, because we were 2000 and 2001. So, and from 2001 to 2004, yeah, I was trying to do this the film production stuff, and getting odd jobs here and there. And then yeah, so 2004, I get this I basically work in the mailroom. I mean, that's like, I don't know if you ever saw The Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox, but that's essentially what it was. I mean, I was in the mailroom and just kind of just trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and then eventually I was able to get a job on our help desk, IT help desk. And then, that I've worked nights on that, and then, just studied and kind of just trying to understand networking, Cisco related networking. And eventually I mean, through just working my butt off, and just getting my name out there, I kind of just been moving up, through the ranks through the last couple of years. And this could be my 20th year with the company, and I'm one of the division managers with them right now. So under their for their network division, so
Okay.
architecture network. So I've been doing that again for 20 years. Pays the bills. So yeah, I mean, can't complain. We have a nice retirement pension plan and stuff, so it's going to be, hopefully they'll take care of me after I retire. So yeah, good job. And it's just crazy. Yeah, my dad worked there, retired from there. My brother got a job there, and is going to retire from there, and I I started working there. It's just like, it's just how it works out.
So quickly, Wraith Base gifted 5 Punk memberships. Thank you very much
Oh,
to
nice.
Just Unther Anderson, K Dog Broadcasting, Beckley, Payne's Toy Samples once again gets one, and then Sky Drawker. That's what there are some names that I just hate trying to figure out how to say. I know Ed knows that because I will completely destroy them. Thank you again, Wraith Mace. Greatly appreciated. So you brought up the lighting, and I never looked at it the way you just said you looked at it, which
Okay.
it really makes. I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, it makes complete sense what you said, where it's like I'm just scaling everything down. Everything that I've learned on a set, I'm just going to scale it down to whatever size of an action figure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would make it so much easier to just look at it like that. Like, hey, this is how they would light this, this TV series or this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll just scale it down and everything's just got to be a little bit smaller. Probably everyone else thinks like that, but I never really thought of it like that. But
yeah, and it's always good to have that background. And again, that's why I'm lucky in the fact that I did have that experience, because it's funny when I talk to other toy photographers, and again, not to, it's not on them, but when I mention like they ask me questions, right? And we'll say, hey, I can say, well, why don't you use a flag for that, or maybe put some diffusion, and they're just like, whoa, hold on a second, do what? And it's just like, it's like, I'm sorry. So, and I have to like kind of break it down to them. But again, they may not, I mean, a lot of people may not have that background. They're just, taking pictures and kind of just messing with lights that they have. Again, because I had no idea what that stuff was, and I had to learn it on set. I had to learn it the hard way because, I mean, back in those days, yeah, it was, movie set, they can be cutthroat. I mean, it can be really, intense. It can be very, very, I mean, that ramp from Christian Bale, I mean, that's nothing compared to what you get. Like if you don't put a sandbag on a C stand, and that and they see that, they'll tip that whole rig over, and they'll be like, now I don't really know what it says, but I mean, they'll be like, clean that effing shit up. I mean, like, that's your mistake. Hey, no, I mean, they'll rip your butt, like, just all, I mean, in front of everybody, in front of the talent, in front of it, and you just gotta sit there and go, okay, yeah, you can't say anything. So, but I think being in football, that kind of already toughened me up, because back in those days, coaches could say whatever the hell they could say. I mean, they could just go.
I feel like today that you hear, and I brought this up a while back, not a while back, a couple weeks ago, about Josh Wheaton, where people are like, all of a sudden it's like, there's all these things about how he treated people. I'm like, so what you're saying is he was not a nice boss. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't touch you. He didn't, he was just a meanie face is basically what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that's life, man. Like, if you've had more than a couple jobs, you've worked for someone you don't like who's just an asshole.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you haven't, then you're probably the asshole.
Yeah, and that's very true. And it's hard because, I mean, maybe in a couple of years that would be a thing of the past. But I mean, I was watching that. I'm just like, I mean, I'm thinking, okay, if they say, hey, he did this inappropriate stuff, okay, that's one thing. But yeah, if he's just like, I mean, and there was some stuff, I mean, that was inappropriate, I guess you could say, from a certain extent. But for the most part, if it was just him just being, a jerk, then it's like, okay, well, I've worked for plenty of jerks. And then again, I mean, I've had people call me stuff that there's no way that would fly now. I mean, it would just be one of those. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's absolutely no way it would fly. But you just kind of like, that was just, I hate saying it because it gets said all the time, but that's just how things were back then. But
there's nothing wrong with getting yelled at.
Yeah.
It builds character. You go, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't do that then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, couldn't you have told me in a nicer way? I've told you 5 times. You didn't listen those first 5 times. Maybe now you won't want to be embarrassed with everyone. Yeah, I brought you in the office. I told you to shut the door, but I made sure everyone could hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't even have to go stand by the door. They could hear.
Yeah, and I've had to do that. I mean, not to a certain extreme, but I've had to kind of just go off on people. I mean, with my staff, and if they, if somebody messes up and it's like a consistent thing, it's like, okay, maybe the message is getting clear across, so I'm gonna make an example out of you, and then kind of just like everybody's gonna hear it because I'm not fooling around anymore because I'm getting my butt chewed out. So I mean, it rolls downhill, man. Like,
Yeah, that's so true. I know, like where I work, and I know the owner. I mean, I've worked there 23 years.
mhm,
I mean, the owner has a question, he'll ask me, but if there's an issue, like if there's a problem with me or there's a like, he goes to my boss. He doesn't call me in, to say, hey, I need to talk to you, and oversteps my
yeah,
boss. My
right,
boss has to hear it, and then I don't really get in trouble. I think that's why you've been there 23 years. But there are other people that, they've gotten their ass ripped numerous times. And when my boss starts getting like pissy with me, I'd be like, all right, dude, like you're obviously having a bad day because you and I have been friends for 23 years. Um, I don't, I don't cause problems, And if there's an
yeah.
issue, you can talk to me. You're pissy right now. You're pissed off about something. I'll talk to you later. Like all right, dude. Like, but I'm not always the most. I'm that guy that walks through, doesn't say hi to anyone, and I'm hoping no one says hi to me because why do we need to say hi? I don't. I really don't want to talk to you to begin with. I don't need to say hi just because it's the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
When I go
absolutely,
to
yeah,
clients, it's different.
yeah.
um, but yeah, so as an adult, you are now an IT guy. So did you get into like you went back into collecting, or did you never? Would you say you never really stopped because of your dad?
It was always kind of in there. Again, I would get some things here and there, but it didn't really come full board until I got into Hot Toys, and that was like again years later. Because again, I mean, I'm gonna just be transparent. I mean, I was going through, nothing bad like we talked about earlier, but it was like I had become a metrosexual, so I was always about being kind of like I would go to tanning beds. I was working out every day. I was like watching what I eat. I was trying to be like 'cause I think I dated a girl and she had said I looked like Mario Lopez. And that to me, I'm like, oh wow. It's like I just like I got that in my head and just kind of like ran with that. I don't know if she was just joking or I'm sure she was just joking, but it was just like I just became so kind of like I wanted to be this suave, sophisticated looking guy and just
Okay,
like
I feel more comfortable talking about suicide. I'm just-
but
I
that
didn't
was
think
yeah.
I was ever gonna have someone say on any of my streams I became a metrosexual.
I didn't even know what that was until somebody said that at work and like, John, I mean, you walk in a suit every day and this and I'm like, you're metrosexual. I'm like, what is that? It's like, somebody a guy who takes care of himself, to the extreme. You get, you're all kind of like you get everything tweezed up and then like, and I think what came out of it was honestly seeing American Psycho and seeing Christian Bale and how he kind of and that's crazy because again the way he and I'm not talking about Christian Bale being like the killer but just how he looked and everything so that's kind of what I wanted to achieve and just I mean
I
I
think you're
did
about to take it right now. Did you have a full hawk?
no I didn't have
Skyliner?
no I didn't have a full hawk or an eyeliner so but yeah I definitely um definitely was going down that route and the reason I bring that up is only because I was like going out to clubs and trying to date and just trying to just have fun and kind of be part of that you know that lifestyle I guess I mean I hate saying this but if you think of Jersey Shore I wasn't that obnoxious but that's kind of what also that kind of played a little bit into it that kind of deal I mean it was crazy it was just like I mean I look back on it going like oh my gosh I was so I don't know what I was thinking, Even in high school, like I used to have blonde hair. I used to dye my tips, and
Oh, you
I
have
had
frosted tips?
yeah, I have frosted tips. Yeah.
These are the things you learn on this show.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, not too bad, but still, I go back and oh man, what was I thinking? But with that, I just like I had to keep the collecting and all that stuff at bay. You know, again, that had to go in. That had to go in the closet because I can't date. I can't bring a girl over to my apartment, whatever. She sees like all these action figures. I mean, I can't. No, that's not gonna happen. Like, no. And then I don't know what happened. I think, I mean, through you know, through dates and through other stuff, and I mean, just like what, I finally came to realize this. I'm just gonna be me, and and if I like something, I'm just gonna go ahead and just do it. And that's when oh, picture story never happened. I don't know where those are. I mean, those are again. This was back in the days.
It wasn't
With,
on your phone, so
yeah, yep, it
you have to
wasn't on
go
your phone.
find it.
Yep, yep. I do. I know I think my mom does have some. I think from when I was like in high school and stuff. Like I don't know if you've seen that picture of CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin, but my hair was kind of spiky like that, but it was blonde. And I used to wear the puku shells. I had puku shells I would wear and stuff, and it was it was all kinds of all over the place. But yeah, I mean, pretty much that I went to that little phase, and then finally I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy this stuff. I mean, people may make fun of it, and they may come over to my house and go, "What the hell is that? Like, what do you have a WWE Championship like title? Like, what the heck? I mean, did you win that? Like, it's mine. I like
Now
it.
it's cool. Like now it's cool to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in our theater room, which I basically converted into the toy room and my studio, um, most of my wife's dismay. That's why she never goes up there. She's like, if I go up there, like whenever the only time she goes up there is when we have company over and they want to watch, the big screen, the big projector, and everything. As long as it's cleaned up, I don't care. All that stuff gets put away, whatever. It's fine. Because I mean, the stuff that's in display, she's like, okay, that's cool looking because it's all lit up and everything, so it's nicely put together. But I mean, it is a conversation piece because whenever people do come over, we take them on to, if it's the first time seeing our house, we take them on a tour and they want to go up, we'll show them upstairs. And like, oh man, you got a projector room, you got a little mini bar here, you got, oh, what the heck is that? Like, oh, are those real? Are those WWE titles? Like, holy crap. And they just like, and then they see I know you're gonna hate it, but they see my Super 7 collection, like, what the heck is that? Like Thundercats. I remember Thundercats. I remember G.I. Joe. I remember He-Man. It's like it's
Can I see your house on Cribs? Because man, this house sounds amazing. Like
well, I think with some of the frenzy, I have shown them my pool. So yeah, I mean, God bless, bless is pretty good that we have a nice house and a nice pool. So yeah, it is. Yeah, we enjoy it. But again, my tremendous wife, she decorated everything, even this room and everything else. But the upstairs is mine. That was all my doing and stuff. So
but
yeah,
see,
it just
odd to hear the upstairs because normally you hear the basement.
we don't have basements in Texas, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's so weird. That's still weird to me.
I would always I kind of like the idea of a basement, and then and it's funny because we were actually in Cedar Rapids and Cedar Haven, I think, a couple years ago. We were kind of going through this neighborhood and we noticed like the houses looked a little bit different, but that's because the basements, we could see the the window at the bottom and stuff, and
oh, okay.
And
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you do have windows in your basement. When most basements have that really small rectangular window.
So I was like, oh, and that kind of got the conversation started. Like, oh, I wish we had a basement. If we had a basement, I would put all my stuff in there. You would never see it again.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess I didn't think about that. That's interesting. Yeah, you said some stuff that I had things that I wanted to mention, but of course I can't remember anything.
I'm sure it'll come back.
He'll just pop right in, and I'll be back for. Oh yeah, remember this? So, how did you meet your wife? That you were able to suck her in?
It was just through mutual friends. Mutual friends up. She's actually in the Panhandle, so she's way up in the like the actual Panhandle of Texas, and it was just through mutual friends. And again, I was at that point I was also doing the online stuff and everything, and all, just random stuff here and there. Just I at that point I was like, I want to settle down. I mean, I'm in my 30s, and it's time to kind of wind this down. want to actually settle down and get married. So I had a friend that had moved up there, and yeah, just that's how it kind of started. Just meeting, and I mean, and to me, it was like, okay, this is gonna be a good test because this is long distance. I mean, in Texas terms, because from where I lived to where she lived, I mean, it was like 6 7 hours. So to drive up there, that was yeah, that's and again, this is still within the same state, but yeah, it's a 6 7 hour drive to go up there to go see her, or for her to come down and see me.
So Brooke wants to know if she knew you during your Metro days.
No, 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 no. She would be kind of like, I think she has seen some pictures and she's like, man, you look different. Like you look really, really tan. Really, your eyebrows look kind of like different. It's like, yeah, yeah. It's like, I mean, she likes me the way I am now, but it's just like, yeah, she was like, you used to go to tanning beds? Like, yeah, I used to go to tanning beds. And
See, I always find it like I've used tanning beds numerous times, but I don't think I ever used them in the summer. When the sun's actually out. But you're in Texas, and it's pretty much warm all year round. I know it gets cooler,
yeah,
but it doesn't get cold other than from time to time.
mm-hmm.
So I've always laughed that California has all these tanning beds, or Florida, and you're like, you guys have sun, right? You know that, right? There's sun. Maybe LA doesn't, so that's understandable because it's all clouds or smog. Yep. But yeah, I think that is just kind of funny that. But I don't think anything about tanning beds. I never really thought of that as a metrosexual thing.
Well, I
bodybuilders do it.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of like, I think some of them did it as well, from what I saw. But again, I didn't. I wanted to look, have a nice even town, but didn't want to do the work, which means going outside, like you said. I didn't want to actually do that, because I mean the heat here in Texas, it does get unbearable.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the good thing about having a pool, and that's one reason when we were, when we finally, got married and we're looking for a house, I'll tell her, like, I want a pool because you know what, I do like being outside, but it's like it is way too hot here in Texas. So I want to get a house that has a pool, and thankfully we found one, and now I can be outside and get a natural tan and be out there and swim and just hang out. Because yeah, hanging out outside of, back when I had a smaller house and smaller backyard, I would try that. I would sit there, kind of just like trying to get a tan. And I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna go to the tanning bed. I'm just gonna go and just.
Why don't they have basements in Texas?
I don't know. I never thought about that. I don't know if it's maybe foundation.
You have very similar weather to us, other than it's extremely hot. I mean, you get thunderstorms, you get tornadoes. Same with us, and I understand why in Louisiana you don't, because you're already under sea level.
Right.
Every time that place floods, and people are like, I can't believe it flooded, and you're like, you live under sea level, right? It's only a matter of time. Again. Yeah.
I never looked it up or never understood it. Just it's just common deal. Crusty old, he said flood table, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, do you guys get a lot of floods?
No, I mean it does rain a lot here though.
Yeah,
like recently, yeah, we just been getting a lot of heavy rain, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know there are certain places don't, but random says expensive clay soil messes with the foundation. Okay,
that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I know there are some people that have have basements, built in their houses, or have the basement built in their house when they have it built, because they have to have it refortified because they're not supposed to have them.
Yeah.
Like Michigan, almost everyone has a basement. It's, it's just how it is, and I'd have so much less space if I didn't have a basement. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. But even my basement is the way that it's made. It doesn't help. And then the guy that lived here well before us, he built a whole brick bar. You can't get rid of it. It is brick and glass block, and it sets in the my steps are down the middle of my house. I live in a townhouse,
mm-hmm.
So my steps are down the middle. So the basement is already divided So there's one room on one side. That's the GI Joe room, and then there's another room, and he put a brick bar, and I discussed what the GI Joe room used to be that we figured out years later, when my ex figured out what it was. So there's a brick bar, and we think someone said in the 70s and stuff they would host parties.
Oh, okay.
The other room was a sex room because her dad found a swing that we didn't know was up there, that was up in there. And then it explained all the other things that were in that room. And we went, oh.
There, okay, light
But
bulb
the
went
other
off.
side is this bar. It's not a wet bar, so there's no, there's no sink or anything.
Mhm.
But he did a brick. It's like the one wall is brick, then this wall, there's a brick wine rack. Now, I can deal with all of that, but the bar down the middle is a brick bar, glass block, and all tiled up on top. You would have to completely demolish it. But it would also ruin the wall where there's brick, so that would fuck that up.
Yep.
So I'd have to fix that. Not to mention getting rid of it, the amount of mess that it would, and I'm just like, it just sits there.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
So it's a runway for my Night Ravens and my Rattler.
Nice.
That's literally what it is now. Because I don't host people. I don't have people over. People don't like me.
I find that hard to believe, man.
I'm not an introvert at all, but I'm very much a loner. And then when you're with someone for so long, and when you split up, and you realize like you're in your 40s, and you start skateboarding again, and all those people that you meet are in their 20s.
Yeah,
you can go skate with them. You can go have dinner with them. Not going to hang out with too many of them because I know it's kind of funny coming from someone who skateboards and collects toys and is a punk rocker, but your interests are way different.
Yeah,
like I still like those things, but at the same time, you guys want to go do your beer pong and smoke your pot and watch TV, and that's just not my thing.
Yep. different priorities. Yep.
So,
I mean, it's kind of like how me and my wife are. Yeah, we just don't. We're in bed by like 10 o'clock or so, even maybe earlier. We're usually in bed like at 9 o'clock watching one of our shows, or whatever. It's just like we're just not. And I think that's what deep down. I think that's why I wasn't being myself during that earlier period of my life, and I think I'm more of a homebody and kind of just like just being real chill and relaxed. And my wife's the same way. She's not a big partier. She doesn't like going out to the night spots and everything. I mean, a nice dinner is fine, and nice place, but I was going to all these different kind of bars and clubs and everything, and
we know you were metrosexual.
Yeah, and it was like not my deep down it wasn't my thing. I was playing a character, I guess, and then I wasn't being my true self. It's just nice to kind of have that now. But it's like, whenever one of my buddies like who's a little bit younger than me, they're like maybe 10 years younger than me. They're like, hey man, we're gonna go to this place, piano bar, whatever you want to go. And it's like 8 o'clock, hey, we're gonna just go ahead, gonna take the wives, we're gonna go out there. I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, I need a bigger notice than that. Like, I'm not gonna, I need at least a day notice to kind of get prepared for that. I can't just go like right now. It's just that's not gonna happen.
It's so funny you say that, because when I started skating again, these guys they'd hit me up and they're like, hey, you want to go skate? I was like, you have to give me, I'll message like, hey, do you want to skate this weekend? Mm-hmm. What about, want to skate Saturday sometime? I don't know. I'll let you know. Okay, well, let me know, because I have to figure things out. Yeah. I don't have my kids this weekend, but I have other things that I have to do. And we skate we used to skate every Wednesday. They still skate. I haven't been because they've been at the park. So once it gets nicer, I'll start skating again. I'm like, I just need to know. You can't put in the group chat on Wednesday what park we're going to.
Yeah.
I need to know ahead of time, because I need to take care of my dog. I need to know if I need to have one of the kids dropped off, if my ex needs to run over and just let my dog out, what do I need to do? And if it's a park that's closer to my house, then I come home and do it. Or do I need to bring my board? And it's like, it took them like over a year. Like last year, they were pretty good about it, but I'm like, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I'm late 40s. You
Yeah.
guys just, hey, you don't have kids. This is where we're going today. All right, awesome. I need to know because I need to plan. I need to map everything out
Yep.
because I'm old.
Yep. That's how it gets you. Again, even though I mean some people still consider me a baby at 41. I mean I'm still old. I'm just like, well, I think it's my job though. I mean, again, it's kind of like the grind because it's like
Yeah.
even though thankfully some of the stress has kind of worn off because I'm completely remote now from since the pandemic. Um, it's still a grind. It's still, I mean, it seems like we're on calls and meetings, more than we were before. So it's just, yeah, I'm just like, by the end of the day, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm just like, I'm, I need to, I think that's where the toy photography is the balance. It's the part that kind of, gets me to not be as stressed and something that I can do pretty much anytime I want at this point, because again, I work from home. So I can, if I'm not on a call, if I'm, have a little break time, I can go take out whatever figure I want and get a scene set up, set it up, light it, and get my camera, just get everything stood up and then take a few shots. And if it doesn't look good, okay, well, I'll go back to work, go to our meeting and then come back and relook at it. I mean, and I get it when some people that I know, some other toy photography friends, they just don't have that kind of they don't have that luxury. So it's like, as long as I'm working from home and have that kind of time on my hands that I can do that, I can step away and do it. I'm going to take a full advantage because I don't know if that's going to change, in the future or not. So, and because I know if we ever went back in the office or if I, looking back, I like it was, it was crazy because I worked in Dallas, so I would have to get up at like 5 in the morning to make it into the office by 7, and
Oof.
then to be just to bypass traffic, I would probably leave a lot later and get home by 6 or 7. So yeah, that really would cut into my tour photography time because at that point, just want to sit down with the missus and have dinner and stuff and just talk, get caught up. And yeah, it's just like right now, I'm just going full bore. I mean, I shoot pretty much every day, and any new thing, especially when I get a new figure. Yeah,
Ed says, fuck
You-
you.
to me.
Yeah, because he has to work now, and then he has to
Oh,
go on his walk and muddy his figures and everything. And
oh, okay.
no, and again, I don't know how to do photography, but I like shooting pictures.
Mhm.
And every now and then I'll get a picture that I'm like, wow, this looks really good. It's
Yeah.
all because of the iPhone. I'm not gonna lie. I just happen to get the right angle,
Yeah.
which is awesome with digital. Like sometimes I find myself like sitting there and I'm trying to get like a perfect. I'm like, all I gotta do is delete it. I don't have to print it. Why am I
Yeah.
wait? I can take a whole bunch of pictures and then get whatever ones, that I don't want. Oh, I'm sorry. He was talking to Fat Shred.
Oh.
No, Ed calls me FU. Well, you're Fat Shred. I don't know what's the FU. I don't even see an FU. I don't know what you're talking about. But I find it other than after I do a video, then I have to take pictures, and I swear to God, because I want to have a bunch of pictures
Mhm.
that obviously go in the video, and also when I post it, right? That's like the most frustrating because like I just need to get pictures. I just need to get a couple pictures so I can put it, but those take the absolute longest, it seems, because
Yeah.
it's like, do I want to move all this stuff here that I have there because I don't have anywhere to put it right now? It just means it just goes back in a box. Then do I pull everything back out? So all
That's
the
always
pictures that I took today, everything's actually kind of still set up. I was taking pictures shooting down, so you couldn't see any of the figures up top.
Yeah.
But then I would see like a head. I'm like, all right, I gotta move the head back, which is no big deal. You gotta move a figure back or something like that. But I like this diagram, but at the same time, it's like I don't really want to move anything because My display's been destroyed downstairs by taking figures up, doing reviews and pictures,
Yeah.
which means they're somewhere in this room. And I hate them being in boxes. I hate my figures being in boxes if it's something that I want to display. And I
Yeah,
think,
that makes sense.
for like what Ed, I know Ed and Matthew, what they do, they're constantly doing, photography. So they
Mhm.
put the stuff in the boxes and they want to take it out. I like having my stuff displayed, and then when I want one, but I also don't. A lot of times I won't change my figure because it's going back in that display. So even
Right.
when I go outside, yes, Ed, I'll take them outside at times. I a lot of times I'll leave them in the exact same pose, unless if I'm
Okay.
like, all right, well he's in a firing pose, I can change the pose and he can go back in the display in my living room. Like that's literally where my GI Joes are, and
Yeah.
all the ones that are up here. Uh, but I find it's relaxing and
Mhm.
it's it's enjoyable to do something that I haven't done for years that I'm learning.
Mhm.
So you start doing it and it's like this is pretty fun here. It's a different way of playing with your figures. And back in the day when I was a kid, I would spend hours setting up a base and then 30 minutes destroying it. As
Yeah.
Cobra, GI Joe, whoever would come in, uh, you know, and display it or destroy it. So, but I find it very enjoyable. It's kind of like a lot with the YouTube where I'm learning all these stuff with the algorithms and it's stuff while I'm driving. I can just put on a YouTuber, listen to what he talks about. I don't have to watch anything. Every now and then I catch something like, oh, I was wondering about that. And I can back it up. But I find that like it is very it's enjoyable. And I
Yeah.
didn't think I'd ever say that about photography. I'm not good at it, but I just like the stuff. But every now and then I get a shot that I'm like, I really like this.
And that's a great feeling. I mean, that's always a good feeling when you do that. I mean, and the thing is for me, I go back and look at my early stuff and I'm like, oof, like, I don't know what I was thinking. But I mean, I can't even stand looking at my old photos and stuff like that. And again, it was more or less kind of shaking the cobwebs and blowing the dust off of like those the memory of actually okay, let me go back to basic 3-point lighting. Let me just go back to all the foundation that I learned and start from there. But it is, I mean, it's a way of kind of like you said, playing with your toys. Me, I keep most of my stuff. Well, all my Joes are in bags in a bin, but the bin is like there in our in my upstairs. And then my Mythic Legions, Cosmics, they're in bags in a bin close by as well. Really, the only thing I have displayed are my Masterverse and Super 7 stuff that I just got. So yeah, that's pretty much the only things I really have displayed. Everything else is pretty much bagged up and kind of in storage. But it's a all my dioramas, whether they're from extreme sets or like handmade ones that I got, that I purchased because I'm not talented. I mean, I can't do the stuff that random diorama does. Like that's as yeah. I mean, I try making brick walls and they come out looking like a mess. So that's like, you know what? The hell with this. I'm just gonna buy that NECA diorama and then I got a brick wall. Like I'm done. I'm done trying to mess with this.
That NECA diorama is worth every
Yep.
penny of the $115 that it costs.
Yep.
I think they might have even been cheaper before. It might be a little bit more, but if it's under 150 still, it is worth it. It
Oh yeah.
is. It fits 7-inch or 6-inch figures, and
Mhm.
you don't even notice.
Yep. Yep.
It's
And yeah, and it just I think right now I have it separated just because I do have a little it's like a secret, it's like a crawl space in my upstairs. It's actually pretty cool. It's actually behind a so there's also a bathroom in that room. And so a full bathroom that's separated by a door. So you walk into the bathroom and there's like a shelving area that have all my boxes, all my Hot 12 boxes stored in. So I have all these boxes on a kind of like a mini bookshelf, but you can like swing the door inward and then you got this little crawl space area that you can kind of walk It's just, like a little extra storage space. And it's directly behind the projector that I have hung up. But then there, I store some of my larger dioramas, including the NECA one. But I got so tired of pulling it out, like fully completed, fully, stood up. It's like, I can't do this anymore. So I started like kind of just breaking it down. Now I only have like, I'll use like the bottom half on some shots or the top half. Really what I've been doing a lot is that backdrop though. I mean, I've been using that a lot for kind of just, you know, that cityscape just as a far away backdrop that you can put in kind of slightly
Yeah.
out of focus. So that's been really, I've been using that a lot since I kind of took it off the actual Dio. But yeah, that's, I mean, that, yeah, I love that diorama. And again, for my storage and everything, pretty much just everything's kind of, pretty easy to get to. It's all kind of organized, and I have a method. I mean, it's just I'm in that room pretty much. I work there, all day while I'm on work, and then yeah, if I can just swing over and just go to my little table, my little setup, and just go and take a couple shots, or if I get an idea, then I'll set something up and shoot it. So
No, so you use a lot of the
extreme
extreme
sets.
backgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah. I got
'Cause I have a couple, and they're not some cheap cardboard. They look extreme. I mean, they look nice.
Mhm.
They're expensive, but I don't have all mine built. I use it. I mean, I would use it from backgrounds for my
Yeah.
reviews and different things like that, and some of the pictures that I would take. Um, but I need to get more. But again, when you start talking $55 to $75, you're like, ooh, this is it
Yeah.
adds up.
Well, in the stores too, because I keep most of them in like their original boxes, like their not even the box that they come shipped in, like so it's a bigger box,
Okay, all right.
and
Yeah,
so yeah,
I keep my boxes. I tried to keep those. I probably tried 2 or 3 times putting them
yeah,
back in. I'm like, fuck it. Those things don't go back in this box.
yeah, yeah. It's like there's no way, not for that one. So, well, actually, the only one. So recently, I got the police station one because I just got I have RoboCop, so that's an easy one. But I'm also going to be getting the Mezco Dick Tracy 2-pack. So I'm like, oh man, that's gotta work. I mean, I gotta get the police station for that. But yeah, that's the only one that so far I can put because everything's pretty much panels for that diode. Aside for the cubicle area, that kind of comes in like that. It's kind of like you kind of fit it in. It's like a big old, it's like three basically four desks in cubicle form.
Okay.
That I kind of have. It was such a pain in the ass to put together. I just like I'm not taking this apart. I'm just gonna keep it set up. I'll put it off somewhere, and then that'll just be that. But for the other, like the jail and the commissioner's office and the other, walls, all those can actually fit into the original smaller box. So I'm happy for that. Saves me on space. But yeah, I have that one, the warehouse, the castle, the Sector 7 sci-fi set. There's like a Star Wars type or like a Tatooine type looking set that they come up with, and I have that one. So yeah, just a nice little mixture. Different ideas. You go from sci-fi to fantasy to cityscapes. I mean, yeah, it just a lot of different things I can just like put together real quick and kind of because again, a lot of times it's like that was kind of like my frustration in the beginning was just like you know at first I was just taking photos of just like them against a simple backdrop, and then it's like I want to do something a little bit better, and yeah, I fell in love with extreme sets, and then also diorama prints is another one that I have. So I have a lot of their printouts, and that's all it is. It's just their graphic printouts. Basically two pieces that kind of go that fit like they kind of fit like this, and then they have the
Yeah.
the bottom piece. So
Oh, are
and then
those the ones that are really small?
I mean they're
Like,
for 1/12 scale, but yeah, they're panel pieces, so they're about that big. I mean they're
these ones right here, like where it opens up.
a little no, not exactly like those, but kind of a little bit bigger, a little bit wider than
Okay.
those.
Because
But
these are like set for They're supposed to be made for 1/12. They're really,
Oh yeah.
if you take it, I mean, there's not a lot of room if you're taking pictures.
No, but you can fudge it with
Yeah.
depth of field and stuff. So I mean, yeah, if you get that a little bit blurry and then the way you light it, and if you were to get maybe like a actual like a diode tree and kind of put it in the foreground or background, that
Yeah.
kind of add that breaks up the illusion. That makes it a little bit more, believable.
And they're like 25 or 30
That's not bad.
on, well, they're like 25 or 30 on BBTS. They're
Okay.
like $9 to $12 on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I saw those was on
Yeah.
Amazon. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
and they're not cardboard. They're on a foam.
Yeah.
So these are on a foam. So actually, the picture that I took with the 60th anniversary Joe,
Mhm.
I actually put it in the sink. Or I take it back. I put it on the strainer. Had my daughter spray water, so I had the poncho on, and I was able to zoom in and take a picture, so it
Nice.
actually looked like you. And that's when I found out the poncho does kind of work, um, which was shocking.
Hey, yeah.
Because he was actually dry underneath.
Oh, that's nice.
We didn't pour water on him for long, but I think it worked better than, let's say, a ghillie suit that someone makes. Just put that in the wild. I'll probably spot him right away. So, what lines are you into? I know you're into Joe, and you said you're into Masterverse, right? You're not into
Yeah.
Origins.
No, I still go back and forth on the cartoon collection. It just because Origins, I have He-Man Skeletor, but there's no way I can get in. Yeah, I can do both, right? I just like, but even with the cartoon collection, I'm like, they look so amazing, and I missed out on the Super 7, the Club Grayskull, like the, cartoon
Yeah.
looking ones. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know about that. I'm holding off as long as I can. But yeah, just just have right now from the cartoon collection, Duncan and He-Man. I'm into Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions. Four Horsemen stuff is amazing. I'm slowly getting, my buddy Night Terrors, who's one of my friends and one of the hosts on our shows. He's slowly getting me into Mezco. He's a full on like Mezco
Oh
holic.
man.
And so I got a couple Mezcos, it's just like, yeah, I get the appeal. I definitely get the appeal with those. So I got a few of them. And I have McFarlane, Toddy Mac stuff, but man, I'm trying to cut the cord with that. The latest one I got was the the actual Hal Jordan Green Lantern, the Silver Age version.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, it's a gorgeous. I mean, I do like the figure, but it's like anything else, I'm just like, I haven't shot McFarlane in a long time, and I really don't. I don't know. I do have the Keaton Batman that he came out with in that Batmobile. I actually have those displayed. But again, like I said before, that's my favorite version of Batman. So
Yeah.
it's just it.
I'm with you on that.
Anything else, I'm just like, I just don't. I'm trying to just like, stop getting McFarlane. But if they come up with a classic version of a character, then immediately that's like I want to get that. I think the Penguin, the one that they announced a few weeks ago, like I ended up pre-ordering that one because I was like, well, that's classic looking Penguin. It's not
It looks
Arkham.
really good.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is like spot on, and other stuff you look at and you're like, that's awful.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck? It's like there's no real consistency. It's like, it's kind of back and forth. And then with Super 7, obviously, I'm all in on the Joe line, and I got some Thundercats, and I picked up Megatron and Optimus just because I always liked those toon versions of the characters. And I know at PowerCon, I know Brian Flynn was like, he admitted, like, people were coming up to him like, why'd you make Transformers that don't transform? It's like, for me, I'm perfectly fine with that because I would have conniption fits whenever I would have to play with a Transformer because my brother still had them. I mean, he still technically, that was like for the teenagers at that time in the 80s, like that was cool because, this guy, he can turn into a gun. But they
transformed really quick. They didn't take an hour.
Back then, or
back then.
for me it
Now,
did. No, for me they did. For me, I
well,
was. And that's the reason why. I mean, now granted, I was, I'm 4 or 5 years old and stuff, but I would just
okay,
have
yeah.
so much, frustration, and that kind of just that always stuck with me. So that's what kind of always turned me off the GI or Transformers. But the cast there, yeah, I mean, I I I I got that. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I got it. you know.
It's funny that you bring up the Transformers for Super 7. Now you're gonna hear me actually defend them. I
Oh,
was the
okay.
same way. Like I was the same way. Like why would I want a Transformer that doesn't transform? But as you get more into toys, and it's kind of like when I look back and I say, I think most GI Joe collectors are GI Joe collectors. They're not toy collectors. They
Yeah.
don't understand that because I see people that post about the Super 7 price and they're like $55, and it's like that's how much those cost. Now,
Yeah.
do I think they're overpriced? Yes, because of quality. You know my feelings on that.
Yeah.
But I'm not shocked that they're $55. We all know that. But when it comes to the Transformers, the more that I looked at it and the more that I think about it, and I'm in the toy world, I don't want to transform them. That is a kid feature.
Yeah.
That is something for a kid. Oh my god, it's a robot now. Now it's a car. It's a robot now. It's a semi truck.
Mhm.
But as an adult, we thought the cars were awesome, but I can drive down the road and find lots of Peterbilts. All right. But the robots, that's what you're going to take pictures of for the most part. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I guess you want some, but if you want that, you can go buy Hot Wheels,
Mhm.
a Transformer size Hot Wheel, and then display it and be a lot cheaper and do your pictures that way. So I fully understand why you wouldn't make transforming Transformers because they're going to stay in one form if you're a collector, and
Yeah.
more likely robot. Because why
Yeah.
not just go buy a die-cast car that costs $30, right?
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, and that's to me, and the way they actually came out, I mean, spot on. I mean, again, I wish they would. There's a couple. I don't think they're going to go forward with the line. At least when he gave his interview at PowerCon, he's kind of pretty much was like, I think we're done with those. But hey, at least he came out with Optimus and Megatron. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, it'd be such a hassle to kind of.
There's so much truth to that.
It's true, yeah. I mean, and I'm sure even though all these years later, they would probably still give me fits as far as trying to put them together. Because yeah, I remember tossing those across the room because I could not get Optimus to go back, either go, transform into Optimus or transform into the semi. And it's just like I would get so mad, like I would just get so frustrated. Just yeah, I mean, bad memories, but that was yeah, I was never the cartoon I watched and loved it, but yeah, just the toys I just couldn't get into them.
It's funny. I can just sit here and know exactly how Optimus Prime transforms from his robot into his. It's like I
Oh,
can. Oh, there you go.
hey,
And you
that's
could, and you could drive him with his head up on top of it.
yep. I don't know how they did that. I mean, but again, I had a buddy who he was heavy into Transformers, and yeah, he could just do it like if I had trouble, he was like, "Give it that to me here." Man, it's like
I
okay,
remember
thanks.
Megatron was difficult.
Yeah,
Soundwave and Blaster were like super easy. I had Perceptor, and if I remember correctly, he was a pain in the ass. Megatron was too. He had the worst legs ever. He just wanted to fall over.
oh yeah, yeah.
But I actually have some of the newer Transformers up there. They're my son's. And he had Ironhide. And I remember telling him, I'm like, I'll transform it once a week. I'm not like I would have fits doing it. Just so much frustration. And when you get it back into the truck, sometimes you'd have to redo it again because it wouldn't snap together.
Yeah.
Again, a kid may not care, but I'm like, it's not together properly. So, what Thanos said.
What did Thanos say? Oh, get the YOLO part. Oh, okay. I think
Oh
I've seen
yeah,
those. Yeah,
I think those are the ones that they just showed today.
I think so. Yeah.
With them. I think like $750, something like that. I got lots
Probably.
of G.I. Joes to buy.
Yes, yes, yes.
I have lots of Joes to buy, and they're not stopping. Every time I want to collect something, they're like, "Wait a minute, do you really want to?" And, no, I guess I don't. And even now, it's like, oh, other than the non-transforming, oh, they just showed the robotic Megatron today that transforms on its own. They had a live stream, so it's just like Optimus Prime.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he says it's $70. Maybe that's the one that Robo keeps on talking about. I'm good. I don't need Transformers. I'm so glad I don't collect Transformers. I talked about it.
Yeah.
I would watch Tidarium Hanger. Words are hard. And he's going like have you ever watched him before?
I think I've seen one or two clips. Yeah, I think I've seen.
Like, he'll do the news, and it's a 30-minute thing, and 25 minutes is about Transformers. And there's so many knockoffs. I mean, they look amazing, and I'm like, I am so glad I don't collect that. Turtles is another one. I'm so glad I'm not into Turtles because oh my gosh, there's like what 5 companies right now doing a line. I mean, we made jokes about it, like that. I believe the moment you start a toy company, you automatically get a turtle license. Like, here you go. I don't want to do that. I know, but you have it.
Yeah, that I mean, for as big as I was a fan, and I had a lot. I mean, Turtles was like, again, that was the if Motu for the kids of the early '80s and stuff was the heavy hitter, and Joe. I mean, Turtles at that time. Oof, my gosh, so much. The only thing I never got was the Terradrome, but I had the Turtle Wagon and the just all. I mean, I had that sewer play set and just all kinds of just. I mean, I was heavy into Turtles, and why. Even now, I just I don't understand. I can't answer why now. I just haven't. I don't have a single turtle figure of any of the lines today, and I'm grateful for that because it's like I can't get into it because maybe it's what you said. I mean, there's NECA, there's now with Mattel, and then the Mezco turtles. I mean, and Super 7. I mean, it's just too many.
And I have respect for the people that are like, I just like doing the Playmates one, or I just like doing the animated one, that they can say to that. The only reason why I don't collect Super 7 Joes is because I honestly don't like them.
Yeah.
I'm just so disappointing. And it's easy for me to say because the cartoon to me isn't the be all end all like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But Mezco, hey, they just told me that my Firefly should be shipping soon, which means sometime within a month. And I'm just excited. And I'm like, when's the next one?
Yeah.
Because Duke's the only other one that's left.
And see, I've talked to my friends about that, and it's like that Duke scope. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. I want to like, man. I mean, that was just show my Joe fandom to have Classified, Super 7, and Mezco's, like just all, because that's how big of a fan I am. But it's just, I have Destro, I have Roblox, and those are just amazing. I'm probably gonna get Storm Shadow from a buddy, and the Snake Eyes, that looks good too. But it's just like one, Firefly too. Firefly is one that I may end up picking up.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely looks great. But again, it's a lot of the ones that have like their heads covered up aside from Roblox. But when I saw that Duke head sculpt, I'm like, oh man, it's like
I was looking at it the other day after Firefly got announced because I'm like, so there is one face sculpt that I think looks okay. The yelling one looks awesome. The one that they showed on most of the solicitation, I can't stand. Then there's one I'm like, that one looks decent, but at the same time, Destro I got, and that smiling face of his, that was the one that I'm like, I would never use it. That looks awful. He's wearing a mask. That is the one that I use the most.
Yeah.
Because once I got it in hand, I'm like, this is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And I talked to Matthew about it numerous times. But Mezco is, again, it's one of those. I only have the 4 Joes right now. I'm disappointed in Snake Eyes. The pleather on it just
Yeah, I've heard people coming, and I think I saw a review on it too, and it's just I,
it looks
I
better in person than in the pictures.
yeah,
Mesco's pictures look awesome, but every time I see a video, I'm like, doesn't look good,
yeah,
and I hate that they're just too big. Like
yeah,
they're I want to say that just slightly bigger than Destro and Roadblock, and they should be smaller.
right.
But Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes fit together, so you can do force perspective. If they're in it, as long as you keep them together and you obviously move some of the classified figures around, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
But it is one of those ones that, man, it just, yeah. Yep, Roman is barking downstairs. There's Roman. What about the Jada Street Fighter?
Oh yeah, that I'm all in on that. I have Ken, Ryu, how you want to say it, and Chun Li. I have M Bison and Dawson on pre-order. Yeah, and I've told people this numerous times. Like, I love Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2, but it's like Marvel and DC for me. I like both, but I'm a DC person. Like, I mean, if you weigh in the scales, I mean, DC's kind of higher up than Marvel. And same with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter to me was always the one I played with the most, and I think it's because it's very Joe-esque. I think. I mean, Street Fighter 1994 with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That is pretty much GI Joe if GI Joe was during that time. Pretty much. I mean that's what it would look like if it was made during the 90s. I mean we had some of that. I mean with the commercials at the time, with the live action, little snippets. They look just like that Street Fighter movie, but I think that to me, I think because they have kind of, they remind me of GI Joe, at least of the lore with Street Fighter. But yeah, they look amazing. And when I saw, like, I forgot what con they Jada had their display, but they pretty much had everything. And once I saw Vega, I was like, okay, I'm going all in, because I think Storm Collectibles never had a Vega released. So, and that's my favorite one. Always has been. You got the claw, which represents, Wolverine, and then you have the mask representing Jason. He's Spanish, so he's Latin, so that calls to my heart. So it's just like, that's just like, you know, that to me, yeah, he's always been my guy. So once I saw Jada was gonna come out with one, and pretty much the whole set, I mean, Blanca and Guile and everybody, like, okay, I'm gonna get that whole set, and that's gonna look amazing. Cannot wait, to have a whole collection.
Yeah. I grew up watching Street Fighter because all my friends played it. I hated it. I didn't care about video games. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be out skateboarding.
Yeah.
And I never watched I would say I never watched Mortal Kombat. Because my buddy, one of my best friends, he was like that. He was that person. You can imagine how those people that's like, I love Marvel, I have to hate DC. But you really don't.
Yeah. No, you don't.
He loved Street Fighter, so he had to hate Mortal Kombat. And if I remember correctly, later on, he was like, it's really not that bad of a game. So I wanted to pick up a couple just because I remember the figures, Chun-Li, Ryu. And then I'm like, this is all that I need. But it's just, the figures are so damn good.
Yep.
They're just so good that I was like, all right, I'm going to get Ken. And I'm like, fuck it. I got to go get
you got to get Bison and Dawson.
Fei Long. Yeah, and now I'm like, Bison looks so good.
Yeah.
Bison looks so good. And you can tell it's on a different buck. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, fuck it. I'm going all in. I'm not going to go get the exclusives from the stores and stuff. I don't need that. But,
no.
Wow, like, I can't pay attention. I'm
I know.
a little busy.
My little baby girl is like right here. She's just like, just quiet, just asleep.
Yeah, so you're just walking around.
Yeah, that's Lily.
Okay.
Yeah, she's German Shepherd, so
That's what I thought. I'm like, how are they not bothering you? Or how is she not bothering
Oh,
you?
she no, she knows.
Well, he knows too. That's exactly why he acts the way he does. He knows too. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. But no,
yeah,
I yeah. For the price point, you can't beat that, man. It's like,
yeah. The price point, the figures, and they fit in with everything.
yeah,
Like you want to have him fight G.I. Joe? Awesome. You want to have him fight AWOC? Awesome. Like it doesn't really matter. They can be a little bit smaller, compared to an AWOC figure, but they fit in. And
yep.
I always love having someone that can beat the shit out of Quick Kick. But yeah, I got the two, and I was like, and then I waited, and then I'm like, oh shit, and then I realized after I got Fei Long, I realized he's actually on a different buck.
Mhm.
So really, Ken and Ryu are the only ones on the same buck,
Yeah, yeah. That makes
and
sense.
they're $25. And it's like, okay, so what do you get for $25? Two sets of hands, two head sculpts, and usually a
Fighting effect, yeah.
yeah, which is awesome.
Mhm.
And it's again, it's not like Jada's a small company, but it does make you ask, like, why can't the other companies do it?
Yeah.
Okay, because we know they're all about just making that dollar. And then they're my biggest thing with those things is the rubber like geese that they have.
Mhm.
Like this is what GI Joe should be making their um, their plate carriers out of, so that people can actually move. It'd be
Yeah.
so nice because those things are so thick and so hard, and I know they've started to rectify it by changing some of them so they break, but it is frustrating. There's that old beachhead, the old Cobra Troopers and stuff. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they're a pain in the ass. Not a
Yeah.
lot of fun. No doubt about that whatsoever. So, now are you now do you do live streams? I know I catch you on. I've seen you on.
So yeah, with the so my toy photography group, Geeked Out Click, we started doing it like earlier this year. It's called just Geeked Out Live on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So yeah, we get on and we'll talk about what toys we got, what's been released, and kind of just have a quick little roundtable for that, and then we'll showcase our weekly photographer that we've been showcasing on our page,
Okay.
and just go through his IG profile and just make sure that he or she or they get exposure, and just make sure just get their name out there. So and then we'll talk shop a lot of times as far as photography and stuff like that. So it's a it's new for me because again, this was actually like busiest week because we have our show Tuesday, and then yesterday we had a collab show with another photography group, Toy Marks, and then
Okay.
I'm with the Great Lawrence today. So it's like it's like I'm getting the hang of this.
You know, it is an addiction at times, and then sometimes you're like, I spent 4 days in front of this. I don't know if that means that I have this toy life or I just don't have a life at all. Um,
Hey,
which is very again, I'm running on fumes right now. I did not plan on being. I was on a toy kind of mood last night. They started at 10. We got
ooh,
done at 1:30 in the morning. They
10
got
your time or
my time. Yeah. So we
okay,
started
yeah.
9 at 10 my time. It went 3.5 hours. And then I talked to Travis and Tony till about 2 o'clock in the morning. But at that point you're like, dude, what's the difference between
I mean,
four and a half and 4 hours?
just wait till Joe Fest. I mean, we probably won't even sleep.
I'm
We'll
already
probably
dreading driving home. I'm driving there, right? So then I'm driving home. Like I'll make it
oh
there, but I took days off, so I'm gonna take my sweet old time. That's I think I'm gonna try and map it out. I might try and go up to John from Geek Dad Life's store because I think that's kind of on the way. But if I
Okay.
was trying to make it back in one day, like there's no way. And I had originally just had Tuesday off, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm taking Wednesday off. I have time. I
There,
might as well."
there you
So
go.
I'm driving down Thursday, staying with Aaron, the toy enhancer. He's in Atlanta, and then the next day we're driving to Joe Fest. Be there, leaving Monday, and then I'm just gonna take my sweet old time.
Nice,
And then when I go
nice.
back to work, I'll have Thursday and Friday. It'll be the summer, and I'm gonna be on cruise control. So,
Nothing wrong with that. I think I fly in Friday. For that one, I think I fly in Friday and then I'll fly out Monday. So
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
it should be. I think so. Usually it depends on when the cons start. I can't because is it only Saturday and Sunday, or is it Friday as well? I think because I'm going to that and I'm going to Legion's Con in November, and one of those I'm coming in a day early or something just to kind of because for me, flying I just like I don't like it. I really don't enjoy flying. So I like if I'm gonna be going somewhere, I like to go a day early because when by the time I get to the hotel and kind of just unwind, I kind of just want to be relax. So I think for both of them, I'm getting in a day early. So I think for Legion's Con and for Joe Fest, I'm coming in a day before the actual con, just so I can just
Yeah, Joe Fast, you can't. It's around. You can get in at like 6, I believe, on
on
Friday.
Friday. Okay. Yeah.
Because I was actually talking to Travis about that last night after we went off, and because he's like flying into Augusta is a pain in the ass from LA. It's a pain in the
Oh,
ass, but to fly into um, uh, Atlanta, he said it's a lot easier. It's not a layover.
that's good.
Well, I'm like, if you're gonna fly into Atlanta, it's a 2.5 hour drive to Augusta. I
Yeah.
think. I'm like, I'm gonna be in. I'm gonna be in Atlanta. So if you're coming in and you can schedule to come in at 10 or 11, I'm like, I'll pick you up and we can drive there. But
All right.
I'm not going that way back out. So I wouldn't be able to
Mm,
drop you off at the airport. And he's like,
yeah.
well, I can just take a one-way flight in, or maybe there's someone that he can talk to that's gonna, get him back, get him out there. Fatrid, it is blue because it's Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah.
Maize and blue. Uh,
Yeah. I
but I
think.
can still like black.
Man, it's crazy the flights though, because I think my flight to Augusta, I think it wound up being $600. Yeah.
You hear that,
I mean,
Tony? I keep telling you, like he's gonna wait. And yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's better to wait or no. I think they get more expensive the longer you wait. So yeah, I mean, that was the cheapest I could find it at that point. So, and I'm flying into Augusta, so that's
now, do you have
the
a layover from there, or is it straight in?
no, it's straight in. Maybe that's probably why it's a little bit more expensive too. Just
Okay.
I hate doing layovers, especially if I have to change flights. I have to actually get off and go to
Yeah.
another. That's always a pain, and then worried about if my luggage comes in because I don't think I'm not too worried about getting anything. I'm gonna just, I mean, I should be fine if there's something that I can knock off my wish list. But I think Legion's Con is one I'm definitely packing 2 suitcases for. One's gonna be empty, and one's gonna have my stuff in there.
Well, I missed Legion's Con by a weekend last year. Not that I
Oh,
was.
you did?
I just happened to. I placed in a certain. I placed in one of the top 5 techs in the region. So
Okay.
then I went to New Jersey, which just happened to be the following week. I didn't actually realize it, to be honest.
Mm.
I was at. Have you been there before?
No, this can be my first year. Yeah.
So the toy store that I found that was right by me was called Chubsy Wubsy. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, they're like a couple miles down the road. I was like, oh, you're kidding me. Now, if I would have realized that, I would have talked to John from Sergeant Reds because he's the only authorized Mythic Legions dealer in Michigan. I would have been like, hey, can you contact them and see if I can get a tour of the place because they recognize the Sergeant Red shirts that I was wearing
Ah, okay.
when I was at PowerCon. So they know who he is. It wasn't like I went up to him like, hey, he saw my shirt and was like, holy shit, like, is John here? And I was like, nope, he just gave me a shirt and I decided to wear it down here. So, like, oh, wow, it's too bad. I was hoping he was going to be here. But if it was something like that, I might even, if I placed again and I knew it was like a week before, I might just take the whole week off and be like,
Yeah.
Actually, I can because when was it? It was
I know this year
it
is
was
like
right before it was right before Thanksgiving that I went
that
down.
year. That time. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like this year was right before Thanksgiving because I had the whole week off, so that's why I didn't even care. Because to me, it was an extra couple of days off.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm going to drive in, and then I drove down to Baltimore, hung out with Oz and another friend of mine that I haven't seen in many years. So, but yeah, Legion, like I don't like. It seems like it's like in a room.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like it's
big, and I'm not a huge Mythic. I think they make wonderful figures, but I'm not a huge Mythic Legions guy.
hey man, you're saving yourself some cash
Well,
there.
yeah, like, and that's another thing. Like everyone was like, once you get one, I'm like, well, and I was I've been good. I picked up a few, and I got
it's
race right here.
it's hard. It's hard, yeah.
But if you're doing photography, like I could see why they're so why they would be so why you
I mean, photogenic. I mean, yeah, they photograph so beautiful. I mean, you really don't. Don't really have to try. I mean, they immediately just just pop. But I mean, it's gonna be fun. I think I've talked to Oz about this. I mean, a lot of times with these cons, I mean, it's more or less just it's just a cool meetup with everybody. I mean, Joe Fest. I mean, I'll meet you and Oz and Ken and just Slaughter. I can see Slaughter if he's going to be up there. I mean, it's been one of my dreams to meet the Sarge, and it's just cool to kind of just meet all these people that you see all the time or talk to on occasion. Yeah, it's always going to be and see face to face, just like we did at PowerCon.
I mean, PowerCon was, I literally decided like that week. I'm like, all right, because we had just driven back from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have the kids. And I was like, fuck, I just drove like 22 fucking straight hours one way and back. What's another 4 hours? Of course, it was longer because it was fucking Ohio and back where my fucking car broke and that shit. But that's a whole other story. But to me, it's about, there's nothing that I need or want. But if you said, hey, you know what, listen, take a drink, guys. We're going to Oklahoma. There's 40 of us that are just going to hang out at the mall for for 3 days and go get dinner, hang out at the hotel, just to hang out with a bunch of guys that we've got to know. I'd be like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. Other than the only difference now is they're saying, hey, here's this giant event of things that you enjoy. And it's like, oh, so I have more of an incentive to go. But just knowing, like, I met you before. I met Oz and Ed, and but I talk to Tony, Tony all the time. To finally meet Travis, meet Ken and Steve. It's like there's so many people that you make good friends, and it seems weird to say because you imagine 10 years ago, 15 years ago, being like, I have these really good friends online, and people be looking at you like, sure you do.
Dude, yeah.
But
okay, yeah.
We have an interaction, like we're talking, we see each other. It's not pen pals. It's not in some chat room forum.
Yeah.
So to me, that's all I want to do. And for me, like, unfortunately for me, driving into PowerCon, I stayed for the day and then I left. And even though I went to dinner and everything, I didn't really have I didn't have any time to relax.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming off of, coming back from Florida, going right back into work, drive there for one day, drive back out. I just want to get there, relax for the 3 days, and then I'll dread driving home after. My guess is somewhere around Kentucky, I'm going to start really cursing myself for trying to drive. There's gonna be some big regrets that I'm gonna have. But as long as I get a good night's sleep before I leave, I'll be perfectly fine.
Yep, that's all you need.
Patrick, I'm everyone's pen pal. Yes, and $8 pizza slices. Yeah, it's gonna, food's gonna be kind of expensive, but like you said, like I just want to meet. Not meet. I mean, I've already met so many of you guys, but
Yeah,
just to hang out. How often do you get to do that? And here's another thing that is kind of shocking. 48 years old, I've never had an adult vacation.
wow,
It's always
really?
been with kids.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like Walt Disney World. I mean, again, it's a vacation, but it was for the kids. I've been to Walt. I mean, my ex and I took the kids 3 times, and then I took them last year. So I've been there. I've taken the kids 4 times. My 2 adult relationships that I've had, they both had kids going right into it. So anything that we did, we did it as a family.
Yeah.
So this is like my first adult vacation is going to a toy show.
Hey,
not Vegas. Not to Miami, to a toy show. But I don't even care because it's going to be so much fun. And
oh yeah,
if I find something that I really need, and I know there's some exclusives that they're going to have that I'm, that I'm interested to get. But again, for the most part, it's meeting up with everyone again and knowing that, hey, every year or every couple years, some of us are going to get to meet up at some shows. And if we get to do different shows, great. Do I wish it was a little bit closer? Yes. I'd be perfectly fine if it was at Motor City Comic Con, which is like 45 minutes, which is a much bigger place. So anyone want to do that? You guys could move Joe Fest up there. The place is huge. But getting people to come up to that mitten, man, no one wants to.
I completely forgot about the DFW toy show. And we used to go, me and my dad would go to some of the shows around here, the big sci-fi expos. And then, I think I was on a stream. I think maybe I was on Oz's stream with you. I think you mentioned that. I was like, oh damn, is that the same week as same weekend as Joe Fest? Like, oh dang. But again, see, for me to go there, just if there's nobody I knew that was going up there, it's not as fun to me. Like I go up there probably just for the day and just see what they have, and then that's it. Now it's like, okay, I'd rather drive or fly all the way to Augusta, be able to hang out with you and everybody else. And, be able to see if there's stuff out there that I may like and want to pick up or pick up for somebody else or anything like that. I mean, it's always kind of cool to kind of go, I don't want to say shopping, but kind of just hang out and, window shop and kind of just look at stuff. And we may go to each other. We may be like, hey, why don't you pick that up? Come on, man. You want that, Lawrence. Go ahead and get it, man. Quit being a baby.
And for me, never in a million years would I have thought that I have made friends on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird to tell people that don't do YouTube in some form or fashion. You're like, no, I made friends with these people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like a dating site? No, not like a fucking dating site. And not even a long distance relationship. Although Matthews tends to think that Tony and I do. But it's just cool. And I don't care about. Matthew brings it up all the time about like DFW, and they have like this creator of the comic. I don't care. I don't care about autographs. That means nothing to me. No man is better than another man. I take that back. There are some men that are lesser than OJ, but he's dead now. Thank God. Cancer finally got it right. So I don't care about autographs. I don't care about meeting someone. I like hearing stories. So if you want to tell me stories, that's awesome. my ex, my ex brother-in-law, he played professional baseball. He retired he
Oh,
retired
nice.
the year before I started dating, Susan, and he would tell stories, and to hear stories, that's the type of stuff that I find captivating.
Yeah.
But a signature doesn't do anything for me, and it sounds kind of weird, but it's almost getting closer and closer to when someone is going to ask me for mine, and it's going to be like, dude, I'm just a fucking YouTuber. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not better than you. I'm not worse than you. Whatever you want me to sign. It seems weird, but I'm already getting it, like where people are noticing me at, at
Yep.
at my local toy store, and they're not people that like I've chatted with.
Right.
Well, I can only imagine, like, if I went to another, like, a local show, I guess I would assume people are going to start recognizing me more, especially for how much G.I. Joe content that I put out.
Yeah.
And even at PowerCon, people were noticing, and the popularity of the show was way, way lower than what it is now. So it is kind of weird. Like, it's like I want to say hi, but it is weird. And if Oz is still here, I'm going to reiterate what he said after PowerCon. If you go by Emerald Knight and no one knows your name is John, don't come up and introduce yourself as John. I'm just using your name, all right? Like 80s Toy Boy, okay? If you were to see me somewhere, don't come up and be like, "Hey, I'm Steve. I'm in your live streams all the time." Who? Steve. Oh, I don't know who you are. And then say, "Oh, 80s Toy Boy." Oh, okay. Well, that I would know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said he had so many people come up to him and was like, "Yeah, I'm so and so." He's like, "Oh, okay." I have no idea who he is. And then
Yep.
someone would do the same thing and then be like, "Oh, I'm so and so," and I'm so and so, that's my name. And it's like, okay, just introduce yourself that way. Um, Clint Jorgensen says, Punker Michael from Retro Blasting will own Joe Fest. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can tell you, Ed is never gonna let Retro Blasting have that, or anyone from the 3POA network. um,
It's funny. I got actually some of that, but I was wearing my hat at PowerCon, not thinking, more or less to kind of help reiterate my brand and reiterate my page, but not to think that people are going to come up to me and say, "Hey, John, what's going on?" I'm like, "What? What's going? It's me. It's so and so." It's like we're in the toy. Hey, what's up, man? It's like, what's going on? And they keep bringing this up because we're going to meet up again, Legion's Con, because I only went up there, obviously. I knew I was going to meet up with Oz and some other, certain people, but the randoms that, we're not randoms, but people that, that I converse with, but never seen face to face. Now, like, just coming up to me and like, "Oh, great. Oh, damn. I didn't know that was you, man." You should wear, we should all wear name tags with our, with our username, or like mine with, with the hat. But yeah, it was so surreal to kind of, just get like a, "Hey, what's going on, John?" Like, "Oh, okay."
and that is weird because, again, people know who I am. I put
Yeah.
my face out. Every video that I do, you see my face. Not everyone does it. So not everyone knows who Beast Battleground is. They don't know who he is. They know who,
Yeah.
they know him, but he doesn't do a lot of live streams.
Mhm.
He's done my show and he's done a few other shows. So he's not afraid to put his face out there, but he doesn't put it out there. So for me, it's not a big deal. But
Yeah.
if Patrick came up to me, I would have no idea who he is.
Mm.
And again, he's in here enough. So he said, "Hey, I'm Patrick." I don't think people realize, and I've had people upset with me because they say I ignore their comments. This Monday night, I had 1,700 messages, or 1,700, not messages, 1,700 chats. I
Wow.
can't read them all. I can
Yep.
barely read as it is. And a lot of times it's conversations, and you don't want to, you highlight someone's conversation, but
Right. Yeah.
all these people in there, there are people that slip in there and they're watching all the time, but they're not posting all the time, so you don't get to
Right.
see them. But they, since they know you, they think that, oh, you obviously know who I am too, and it's kind of like,
Right.
yeah, I don't, but I don't want to sound mean or rude about it, but I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
Well, that's how I was with you, man. When I saw you kind of just walking around, and I was like, that's a punk with toys. It's like he's right there, because I'd watch your show, because I would, again, for like from the reviews, because at that point I was getting into classifieds, and you're one of the people that I'd watch for the classified reviews and stuff like that, and it just, again, just walking around, you just kind of, you were just kind of just like looking around and stuff. I'm just like, that's a punk with toys right there. Hey, there's Kyle Pearson. Like, oh, like all these people I see on YouTube, they're just walking around like whatever.
Like regular people.
Yeah, exactly.
um, and it is weird, but again, like I look at my Duke video. It's the biggest video that I've had now.
Mhm.
It's at, is it 11,000?
Oh,
So you
wow.
gotta think, like 11,000 people. Yeah, sure. There's some people that have rewatched it, but you think over 10,000 people have watched it.
That's a lot.
That's crazy to think. Like you have 10,000 people, and again, I'm not someone who just has my hands in it. So you're seeing who I am.
Right.
And again, people that are watching it, they're not someone that is like, hey, I want to find out about the new Apple Watch or the new iPhone. They're GI Joe collectors. They're GI Joe fans. That
Mhm.
there's a good chance many of them are going to be at these shows for us. So yeah, it is weird. Have you started to get it anywhere?
I mean, no. Well, again, maybe as I've kind of getting, getting more out there, and then with our show, maybe, yeah, the next convention, maybe somebody may spot me or spot my logo, and they'll be like, "Hey, what's going on, John? Love your photos." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Again, I'm excited. I'm looking so forward to it. I just think, again, it's going there to meet up and hang out with a whole bunch of people. I
Mhm.
don't need to buy anything. There's not a single thing that I'm like I have to get. Although I know that there are some exclusives where
Yeah.
Skeletron has shown that they're going to have an exclusive O-ring of
Oh,
Skeletron,
okay.
which is the same figure they already have. They just packaged a little, from what
Yeah.
I can tell. But that I'll probably pick up. And again, I know there's going to be a few exclusives, but I'm not like going down to look for like a Defiant.
Yeah.
Um, especially after on one of my live streams, I was talking about like, yeah, when I have an extra $1,000, then I think I might invest it. And I think it was Woody Triple Two that was like, I just sold a Defiant for $3,000. I'm like, all right, when I have an extra $3,000 laying around, then I
There
will
you
look
go.
for my holy grail.
Hey, Clip mentioned the Delta 17 exclusive, so yeah, that might be. I'll probably pick some of those up.
Now, are they having an exclusive?
I, I mean,
I
if
didn't.
that's what he said, I don't know. I mean, if that's what he's saying, but
I'll have to ask Ken about that because I didn't know they were having an exclusive, but I also have been watching all of their stuff.
I mean, it would be kind of smart of them to do that. I mean, especially with Joe Fest,
Yeah.
them being so tight. I mean, that would be smart business move to do that, but definitely that'd be something. Now, I will say, if I see a His Tank, and if the money's right, then maybe, because I missed out on that because I
Oh,
just
you didn't get one?
no. I was so clueless as far as crowdfunding and stuff like that. HasLabs, I had no clue. It just came and went. So yeah, if I see one, I don't know. I don't even know how much on at a show like that would cost. Probably like $600 or something. So probably not.
I want to say, I think they're going for about 600 right now, complete.
Yeah,
So
probably. Yeah.
double. And I mean, I don't know if I can say 600 is worth it because I got it for 300.
Yeah.
Um, but if I didn't have it for, I might be
Yeah.
thinking,
If you didn't have it, then
yeah.
would you?
I mean,
Or
it is a beautiful. I mean, it sounds weird calling a His Tank a beautiful piece, but it really is. I mean, people make jokes about about who's really going to use the light. Let me tell you something. when I was going to work and it was still fucking dark out in the morning, every morning I'd hit the button. And then the batteries were dead, and my daughter watched me like, I'm like, the batteries are dead. She's like, okay, you can replace them. Like, no, but it's not lighting up today.
Yeah.
Unboxing Art says the algorithm makes it harder for our smaller channels to get noticed, but
Yeah.
our regulars who recognize us and are in our streams consistently make it worth it. Oh, I agree 100%. You better get you better get that hiss,
I don't
dude.
know.
It's so yeah. I'm back in all the classified HasLabs. I hope this year it'll be a Thunder Machine. You know
Yeah.
what? I made my case that I think the Thunder Machine is the perfect HasLab. People have argued with me. I think it's the perfect HasLab because you can have a classic one, but then you could do a different front end. That machine was a hodgepodge of stuff. You
Yeah.
could do so many different things, but everyone's like, oh no, they don't need to do it. They've already said that they don't need to. They don't need to do a HasLab for anything. They choose to.
Yeah.
They choose to. But yeah, it's
I mean, if they did the vamp though, I mean, we're not retail, but like online. I mean, you don't think they would do the Thunder Machine same way, or do you think it would
what
just
can you
be
reuse the Thunder Machine for? That's my biggest thing. That's
yeah,
gonna
that's
be a
true.
stinger. That's gonna be a Mark II.
Yeah.
Ram cycle's now been done
Yeah.
3 times.
True. Yeah.
And they can do the Ram cycle and the vamp to be that Dreadnought one too.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point it's actually going to be something Iron Grenadier.
Yeah, I can see
That's
that.
just my personal feeling with that. Fatrid says unboxing art. I feel that I do a lot of IG. Not sure really how I'd handle if I were 4,000 subs on my IG because I'm able to communicate directly with those that follow and message.
Mm.
So I gotta say this: as the channel grows and the live streams grow, it does become more and more difficult to follow the chat. That's what your mods are for.
Yeah.
But you tend to have the same people that are really involved. Like Fatrid is one of them. Obviously Matthew. We have Ed and Tony, and you have the same people that tend to be interacting. And it sounds stupid, but that is the reason why you see bigger channels focus more on super chats. Because now you have this bigger ocean of people, and if someone is going to send you a super chat, then you really need to answer or read what they said, because they're saying, hey, I enjoy your content, but also this should get it read. I don't ever want to be that person where I'm only reading super chats, and I don't think that I ever will be. But if you get so many of them, you only have so much time to do things. Now, I go for 3+ hours, so I normally have the time to read a few more. But yeah, I don't know how we got there. But yeah, the whole smaller channels, and that's why I talked about them this Monday. I don't want to make this about what I did, but that's why I talked about them this Monday, is because smaller channels they struggle, and I'm not a big channel, but I'd also be stupid to ask like I don't understand that my channel isn't growing and that people do know who I am. I mean, that'd just be a flat out lie. But I want to be in the chats with the smaller channels, just because of what they said. Like, there's this interaction where, I mean, Geek Day Life. I used to love Geek Day Life with Jay and John. I don't like it nearly as much without John. I just don't think there's a chemistry. And I used to love Toy Anxiety, but you get lost in the chat, and that's fine. That it's perfectly fine because they have a very strong show, and I think they all do really good jobs. But even the people you're interacting with, when the chat's going that crazy, it's hard to even have a conversation with them because
Yeah, it's
next
gonna
thing
get
you
missed.
know, it's way down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I do understand the smaller channels, and people get discouraged. That's the biggest thing. You can't get discouraged, man. You just have to keep on.
Mhm.
If you enjoy doing it, you keep doing it, and eventually you get those people that. Again, I know people enjoy what I do, but at the same time, I'm like, what do you? I ask numerous people because like, so what is it that what do you enjoy? I just need to know because you want to make sure you continue to do that while still evolving.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. I know it's not the deep voice because I know it's not my I know it's not my amazing reading of chats. Uh, we have Backwoods that showed up. We got Allison that showed up. Whew.
Hey.
Um, so where can everyone find you at?
Right now, just Emerald_Night_photos on IG. But we do, like I said, we do have the Geeked Out Click show, Geeked Out Live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central. We are going to start kind of branching out and going a little bit earlier and going for 2 hours, but right now it's just 7 p.m. Central on Tuesdays for an hour. Just me, my co-host Sid Vicious Toys, and Night Terrors. Again, just having a little chill session with us. But yeah,
An
that's
hour. Good lord, I don't
yeah.
even think I barely
I
made
mean,
it to McFarland within an hour.
well, and that's the reason for going to 2 hours, because we do get on tangents sometimes, and we kind of have to like, I'll be in the chat, or someone will be in the chat going, hey, we gotta, remember, we gotta move on to the next segment. Because we want to make sure we showcase the our feature photographer and give them the time that they need as far as like their page and going through their photos, and giving them the proper exposure. But yeah, I think we're gonna go to 6 p.m. Central starting in a couple weeks and go for 2 hours. And then that's just because that I'm in Texas, and then Sid Vicious Toys is in Florida, and Night Terror is in New Jersey. So yeah, we're all kind of all over the place, but we figured that'd be the best time. So, but yeah,
Uh,
I completely get it too. And I think I forgot, again, talking about getting lost in the chat. I think it was Fatred FU, I think, had mentioned that. But
gotcha.
yeah, as far as his IG, it being, no, actually legend_series. I said I get okay numbers on Instagram with my photography, but YouTube has been a slow climb. And yeah, that could be the other side. I mean, YouTube could be amazing, but then Instagram could just be, you could have trouble with that. Again, with me, I don't have a big page or anything. But again, I enjoy doing it. And yeah, if the more exposure I get, I'm not gonna say no to it, but at the same time, I was like, I just love enjoying doing it. And anybody that wants to reach out or always want to pick my brain, I'm always open to them for that.
So the numbers thing is something that they always confuse me because
Mhm.
I now have over 4,000 subs here, and I understand a lot of people just sub. It took me forever to get 1,000 subs on Instagram. Maybe it took a little bit longer because I also lost it for 3 months. But either way, I was struggling, and like just by the pure numbers that I would get at least 1,000 followers on Instagram, but it took
Mhm.
forever to. But go ahead and load a video on multiple platforms, like just a little short, and see how they do. And I've always seen like they'll do better on one. And I loaded the uh, the the short the little reel of
Mhm.
all my figures, the pictures that I took outside.
Yeah.
Nice day. I ran out there, took everything out, and I got like 1,000, I think, on Instagram. On the shorts that I put it here, I had like 500, 600, something like that. A couple of days ago, I'm on my TikTok, which I haven't been on there. I go and look, 34,000.
Wow.
which is by far the biggest video. And I was like, wait a minute, let me go look at the other ones. I'm like, this one got like 1,000 or
Yeah.
like 1,300. This one I think had like 634,000. It's shocking, but every video that I've done, like I usually will post it on those three, like the reels,
Mhm.
and you always see like one would do really well or do decent,
Yeah.
and then the other ones don't, and you're like, aren't all you fuckers on the same thing? Like,
I mean, it's a crapshoot. It's just, I mean, I think the only reel that I have on Instagram that's gone even over 1,000. I think it was the one I did at PowerCon, basically just showcasing the cat slayer. Yeah, I kind of just like
oh,
it was just me on my phone, just going around, just going in and just like going around it up and down and kind of getting a good view of it. But everything else, I mean, not so much. But again, I'm not. I mean, I'm at the point where I don't really look at the numbers. I mean, when I've talked to other people, they've been doing this since like 2011, 2013. So it's like, oh yeah, I've only been doing this since 2021 on Instagram. So I'm not worried about that. I mean, it's just, and that's why I tell anybody else too that has questions or that comes to me. It's like, hey, it's I haven't been doing it that long. So I mean, it's gonna be a slow process, especially with Instagram, with the hashtags and with your photo kind of getting lost in the shuffle. It's always tough.
Todd C got my wife a $50 Stanley Cup. I'll remind her that when she asks how much my last toy purchase was.
Wow.
I love it.
That's
No,
yeah.
like
Funny story about that though. I got Eternia. Actually, I got it from a buddy that I met or that we met up at PowerCon, and we made the deal at that time. Say, hey, when I get it, it's yours. I'll sell it to you at cost. No big deal. So I'm like, cool. And then a few months go by, and Eternia is coming out, and my buddy hits me up again. Hey, you still want that Eternia? Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, long story short, my wife was going out of town and it was lined up perfectly. So, if when it get delivered, she was going to be gone because I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but that sucker's huge. I mean, it's a
it
pretty
is.
big bug.
Pictures don't do it justice how big it is.
Yeah. And so for some reason she was leaving the next day or something got delayed. So she was gonna have to leave the next day. I'm like, oh crap, man. It's like if this thing shows up and she's here, it's like, oh, she's gonna be oh, so it FedEx, sure enough, she was gonna leave. Like, oh, cool. It's still out for delivery. She's gonna leave. The moment she leaves, and that FedEx truck comes up, and she's like, "Hey, did you order something? Because there's a FedEx guy's having a trouble, getting this package out. He's asking for some help." I'm like, and of course it's in the Mattel mailer, so it says right there, Masters of the Universe, Eternity, and she's just like,
You didn't have time to go out and say like go buy a new TV and be like, oh, it's the TV.
yeah.
I was trying to surprise you. When you come back, it'll be all out.
Yep. So she just looked at me and just like, I better not, if I see that out, I mean, you better figure somewhere to put that because I better not just see that out like that. And she was like, bye. I was like, hey. But she did see pictures of it set up, fully set up, and she's like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like I mean, that's pretty cool.
And that's not one of those things you can lie about and be like, oh, it only cost me $150. They're looking at you going, that figure cost you $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um,
Well, lucky enough, my wife, she'd be like, if I said it was 200, she'd be like, okay, I could probably get away with 200 for that. Because again, for her, that's just a toy. I mean, she probably
yeah.
thinks that I bought that, off of Walmart or something. It's like something that's like it's plastic. So it's like, oh yeah, it's still, that's high. If she found out if she knew how much it was, like, oh my gosh. We never had a discussion. She just thinks, okay, I just bought some big, something, some toy, whatever. So whatever.
I love it. That is so awesome. I had an old friend of mine that he would have all his stuff sent to work, and I go, "Your wife doesn't realize it." And he goes, "You know how much Star Wars stuff I have?" He
Yeah.
goes, "I just say that if she notices, I just say, oh, I just had it in the garage and I wanted to display it," and she'll say, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Yep, I can see that." because you have so much stuff that like your museum it doesn't even have half of all your stuff out. You have
Yep.
so much shit, but it would totally work.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people say they have their stuff sent to work now.
No, I mean, I'm not like that. I mean, if it comes in, it comes in. I mean, I've opened stuff in front of her, and it's like, and because she knows on our show we do like we'll do reveals of what we got and stuff. So, I mean, she knows like, hey, you know what, that's your thing, and if that's all my husband, like this whole week she's been off of work or she's been out of town. If that's all my husband is doing is taking photos of his toys, and he's not going out, crazy out in the town. Okay, then there's worse things that I could be worried about. It's like he's been home alone this whole week, and he's just been, after work, just taking photos of his toys or going on. Hey, that she's perfectly fine with that.
So, on the opposite of that, my when my ex and I were going through the custody battle, I remember going there. Now I don't drink, I don't smoke, I never have.
Okay.
I go to work every day. I never took vacations. It's not like I was like gone. I didn't have a girlfriend, so it's not like I was having. She had a boyfriend, and one of the things when she was trying to dispute why I shouldn't have 50-50 custody. My ex and I have a great relationship, so I'm not
okay.
We have a great relationship now, but I just remember, that she said like what I've been doing, and the referee, that's what they would call him, goes,
oh, okay,
so you have an issue because like once or twice a week he goes to the skate park to skateboard. And I was just like, oh, that's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing that that's what you use. Like, so he's going to exercise is what you're saying. Like, not to the bar, not to the crack house. Like, he's going to write it. Like, and I was like, oh, my lawyer was like, I can't believe that. So yeah, like your wife being like, if this is all that he's going to do, like that's exactly. That's exactly it. Mine was just on the complete opposite side of that.
Yeah.
Wait, Hollison says one time I forgot to get my wife's anniversary gift on time, and the package was delayed. But it was the worst timing because I got a bunch of pre-orders.
Oh man, that is bad. It's like, I could imagine my wife being like, "Are those one of those mine?" It's like, no.
You find the female figure and you're like, "This one's yours."
Yep.
That's what I tell my daughter. I'm like, all the female figures are yours. She's like, that's not even. I'm like, well, you guys can figure out the other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll be dead. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah. You do whatever the hell you want with it. But I go, you can do whatever you want with the collection. You can do whatever you want with my flag. All that I say, I go, it means something to me. All I'm telling you is do not get ripped off. Sell it for what you can get for it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I told my wife too, because I told her like, I mean, for the most part, she knows how much I spend on most of the stuff. So it's like, look, when I'm gone, because I mean, it's probably gonna be me first, because I mean, I just got that feeling it's gonna be me. I mean, you can sell all this stuff, and some of it, again, just like you said, don't get ripped off. I'm like, well, how am I gonna know? I'm not gonna know how much of this stuff's worth. So now she's like, okay, I mean, not now, but later on, just go ahead and start kind of building that inventory up, like, and keep up with it. That way, when I'm gone, okay, here's the spreadsheet. Here's Eternia, $1,000 or maybe 20 years from now, 2,000 maybe. I don't know. Just start off with that and kind of just everything. Then you can just ship it all. You can just sell it all and or get rid of it.
I'm dead. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be gone, so it's like, or get rid of it.
Thank you, Graf, for becoming a channel member. My buddy Greg, who he gives me all the 3D print stuff, and he gives me stuff he doesn't give me stuff, but he'll drop his stuff off for me
Nice.
to review.
Mhm.
Like all the Gridiron stuff, he'll drop it off, and I'm like, he gave me a Galactus to review, and I'm like, don't you want to open it? He's like, no, I don't have any room for it right now. So I get to open it before he even opened it. He doesn't like. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I need to get it
Yeah.
open. But he told his girlfriend, and he's like, if something ever happens to me, um, have Lawrence, go through my stuff and sell
Yeah.
it. Because he'll know what he won't rip you off, and he'll know what to sell it for.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know what I would do because I'd be like, this thing is worth $80, so here you go. This one's worth 40. Here you go. I'd be looking at all the stuff that he has that I want, and I'd be like, hold on, let me go get my own money. And it'd be like when I worked at the skate shop when I was younger, and people were like, oh yeah, the owner said that the shipment's coming in. Nope. Well, we just saw the UPS guy leave. Yep. They didn't drop stuff off? Yeah, they did. Well, where's it at? In the back? Where you get to go through it first? I'm like, I make $4.25. I make $4.25 an hour. Yes. I get to go through it first. And that's exactly what I would do if I had to take Greg's. Luckily, most of the stuff that that I want, I already have. So I wouldn't be draining my own bank account. But I was like, yeah, no problem, man. Like, if God forbid something happens to you, yeah, I will.
Yeah, that's actually a smart idea. I need some like Oz yourself. Yeah, I may have to give, I have a list of contacts. Like, hey, contact this person. When something happens to me, they'll know what to do with all my stuff. They may take it, but they don't know they'll know how to properly dispose of it.
But yeah, that's what I told my kids, and my son was like, no, it means something to you. I'm like, yeah, it means something to me, but if it doesn't mean anything to you. Now, my son played with my aircraft carrier as the
Yeah.
helicarrier for quite some time as a kid.
Mm.
And he would come up to me. Do you care if I play with it as the helicarrier? Because he had 4-inch
Yeah.
Avenger figures, and he was huge. He's a kid. I'm like, it's your imagination. You play with it however you want. Like, why am I going to be mad? Like, no, that stays only in the water. You can't act like it's flying. But I'm sure there are people that are like that.
Yeah, actually, coming to think of it, I had to do that, even now because, my dad, he had passed away last year. He was just very ill. It was just time, and he still had a lot of stuff just from our collecting days. I mean, he got into the diecast cars and starting line. He was heavy into starting lineup from
Oh
back
wow!
in the days. Yeah, then he has a shed at my parents' house, and there's tons of boxes of stuff in there. My mom keeps telling me I got to go through there. Part of it's kind of like, well, you know, kind of don't want to. It's just it's may be a little emotional, but at the same time, she has no clue what to do with it. She'll probably just give it away, and it's like there's stuff in there that what somebody may want, or I can at least sell it back for at least to help out. I mean, because I wouldn't make anything on it. I would just give it back to my mom. Like,
Yeah,
hey, here's what I was able to sell for all this. Some of the stuff here. Here's some money. Boom, there you go. But I need to take advantage of it just because I may not even know some of the worth, and I can go to yourself or somebody that could help me kind of like like you said, don't get ripped off. Like, hey, you know what? Here's a box of starting lineups from 1988, mint condition. You could probably get them for X amount of money. And that's what I can probably start sell them off for or whatever. But yeah,
Todd. See, I don't know if you have to. Probably, but I don't know. I've
I
never.
thought you did. Yeah, I thought you had to be a member of
It
it.
would make sense why. It would make sense that you have to because they're probably going. Well, why wouldn't you gift yourself a membership? Um, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. No, the biggest thing about your collection is you don't want that person to come in that is just buying your collection that you've, I guess, curated,
Yeah.
knowing that I'm going to give these people $1,000 and I'm turning around and making $10,000 off it.
Right. Right.
You know, it's way different if you're like, hey, you know what? I have a friend. They want this stuff. They
Mhm.
want it for their collection. I'm going to give it to them at a great deal because I know it's going to go to a good home. You know,
Right.
they're not going to turn around and scalp it because, again, it's like my kids are the ones that should be getting the money.
Yeah.
But how much time do they really want to invest in breaking it down? It'll
Yeah.
probably get stuff in a storage unit.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
keep the aircraft carrier and all the shipwrecks together. All right.
Just, I mean, man, at that point, just put it in the casket with you, man.
That's what I said. Just, I'm just gonna be buried with it. Don't put vehicles on top of the Mauler's cannon. All right, just don't, because you'll break the fucking cannon or bend it up. All right, yeah, just watch when you pack it. All right? Because I will come back to haunt you for some stuff. All right, like, get rid of it.
There you go.
But get rid of it properly.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Oh.
I want to say thank you. Do you have anything else to add? That
No, I think I'm good. Oh, real quick, Clint Jorgensen said, does he have Dallas Cowboys starting lineups? Yeah, actually, I got two of them in my. I have a Troy Aikman, and I think there was some variants of that because again, my dad was huge into that. So, and I got a couple Raider ones too that I have. But yeah, I mean, my dad had, man, he was so into starting lineups. It's crazy, just so much into it. So yeah.
and the Lions swap draft picks with the Cowboys. It's just kind of funny we were talking about.
Oh yeah, I could see my chat was, or my text messaging was blowing up. I have like 40. I have like, I could see them going across the screen, and I have like 48 messages and a whole bunch of F-bombs, and like I stayed up for that.
Because of Dallas?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, because Dallas traded, right? They traded out their pick, so
yeah, they traded their 24th pick to the Lions to swap down to the 29th, and they must have thrown something else in there. But Jerry Jones is so stupid; he may have given them a fucking another draft pick to move up. That guy is so old and senile. Zazel says, losing someone close to it's a huge emotional investment to go through the belongings. It's better to wait for the right moment rather than push it. It becomes a celebration of life, not sadness from loss. Yeah, I fully agree. And for my kids, it'd be even worse. Well, I don't know. It depends on how much they like me at the day when I die. But all my stuff is everywhere. Like, you go downstairs.
Yeah.
You look to your left. There's the GI Joe room, and the flag is sitting right there.
Yeah.
They know that very well. You walk in my house, all the figures. To me, I mean, the classifieds don't mean anything to me. I mean, I love them. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love them. But there's no emotional attachment after just a few years. But the flag that was given to me as that I got that for Christmas. The Terradrome, the same thing.
Is that your original one from?
Oh, that's my childhood flag.
Okay. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's my childhood flag. There's still something that I had dripped on it that melted onto it. I thought it was wax, but wax I would have been able to peel off. It's like glue or something. I don't know why it's there. Yeah, so that's my childhood flag. That's and it's I don't think I've ever added anything to it. So it is missing some parts.
Yeah.
I don't believe I've ever bought anything to add replacements to it. Eventually I will, because you say you want to complete it, but you're like, do I really want to that much?
Yeah.
But I forgot to put links to your Instagram, I believe, because I got distracted and was like, I made the thumbnail, and then it was like after midnight when I did it, and then I can't. Facebook's having issues.
Yeah.
but it wasn't telling me Facebook was having issues. It was just not showing, but it was still showing that on my Monday show that it was still connected, and I couldn't figure out why. And every time I tried to connect it, it wanted to add my personal. And I don't hide that I do a YouTube channel, but I also don't promote it on my.
Yeah.
I don't promote it on my Facebook page. So if you're adding me on Facebook, thinking that I'm going to talk toys, I don't. Like Travis Moody, he talks. He's always on his Facebook, promote. I don't hide it. If somebody asks, I would tell them, and I'll do some toy dumps on it on my Facebook, but I don't really discuss this because you just get the wrong people that come over. And
Yeah.
listen, if you know how I am, you can only imagine some of my friends that are just as much assholes, and they'd be in the chat, and I'd have to get them blocked because.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a troll, but you're a friend of mine. You can't be a troll. So I will put a link in for anyone that's going to watch on the replay. I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like what, almost midnight over there for you?
It's about to hit midnight. I had 4 hours of sleep. My eyes were just. I'm trying to drive today, and my eyes were just. And then the HMS came in, so I wanted to get that done. So I got home. I tried dozing off a few times, and every time it was like, oh. I'm like, Friday. I can sleep in Friday. Oh, wait a minute. The fucking gargoyle's coming in Friday. No, I can't sleep in. I can sleep after work. No, I have to work.
That's
so Monday was a late night. And then, again, the whole toy kind of mood, I didn't expect that to go 3.5 hours. So that was, 10 to 2 in the morning. But at that point, you're like, I'm going to be exhausted no matter what.
Yeah. Just roll with it.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those things. So, but anyway, I want to say thank you very much for joining. I love these conversations that I get to have with people. Some of the guys, I talk to all the time. So, I already know a lot of the stuff. You and I had met, we've been on a few streams together, but we really never got to talk too much. And you, like I said, you had a story to tell, and you're just so interesting with the photography. And I was glad to find out that you are not sponsored by Super 7, but you do have an affiliate account.
That's
so
all.
If I do ever order through them, I would definitely use your account. But I don't order much Super 7. I did order the O-rings through BBTS when they came up.
Okay.
But I want to see how they are.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see how they are, and like they said, they want to do figures that were never done before, which that interests me. So that's what he told the Full Force. That he goes, I'm not doing figures that have been done before. These are figures that have never been done before, and it's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because contrary to what some people believe, I still do collect 1/18 scale. Hence, I have a giant flag in the basement. But seriously, if you have your childhood flag, don't you have to have it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to find somewhere for it. If things sat in storage long enough.
Yep.
And when my ex and I split up, I'm like, it's going in, my daughter's room because she moved out, she went to college, and that was my stepdaughter, and we're really close, but at the time, she chose her mom's side, and I can fully understand. So I didn't see her that much. Everything was moved out, and it's like, that's where it's going.
Hey, it worked out.
Clint says, Punk's chat is close to over. Look for the Hasbro billing email for your classified order. So I made a comment last either Saturday or Sunday that we'll get charged for the HMS probably right before I get off the stream, because they usually charge you anywhere from 3 to 12 minutes after midnight Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Well, it didn't charge me right away, but it did charge me before, but I went late. So I think it charged me around 12:26 or something. I had made a comment to Clint on, I believe it was Clint, right? On Facebook. Or no, actually it was on uh fuck. What's it called? Discord.
This
That
okay.
you'll get charged before I leave. And he's like, it charged me like 3 minutes before you went off, something like I told you. And they tell you that they're gonna charge you on the 23rd. They're charging you on the 23rd, and it's right after midnight Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Like they're not waiting, all right? But the exclusives they seem to send out really fast. They send those out, and it's coming out of Chicago, so I get it right away.
Yeah. I usually have to wait a couple of days since to make it all the way down to Texas. But yeah.
But before they were coming out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I actually noticed that. Yeah.
Coming out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Georgia or Portland. Because they have like 3 warehouses. Now, I don't know if they only have one, and it's like maybe one giant one in Chicago, but everything now is coming out of Chicago, which is good for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, it won't take that long.
Yeah, they're not using DHL. This is awesome. Awful.
Yes. Yeah.
It's absolutely awful. DHL, the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, I think BBTS still ships some stuff from DHL, but lately I've been getting a lot of stuff from FedEx, so that's yeah, I like that.
Matthew's been saying his stuff's actually been coming pretty quickly. So they ship all of my stuff DHL, which means it comes out of Wisconsin, down into Illinois, and then goes across. And I bitched about this numerous times, not because it takes me longer to get it, but because I don't understand the logistics. Then it goes all the way to Stowe, Ohio. The problem with that is Stowe, Ohio is literally past Michigan. So rather than coming across and hitting, I think it's 96 or 94, and going in at the bottom of Michigan, if it was stopping somewhere in Michigan or even somewhere below me, the fact that it goes all the way over there and then it sits there for like 3 days and then it gets shipped back out, and you're going. But someone said that that's where the DHL facility is. But it's like, I just want to sit down with someone at a table and go, explain the logistics to me. Because you see, we're here. Here's Michigan, right?
Yeah.
You went all the way over here from here, right? Like, explain. There's a road that goes right up here. Why? How did it not somehow find its way up there? Like, how? Like, just explain it to me. So, or you can pay like $8 if you have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's shipped 2 days through FedEx, and it comes. It's better.
Yeah.
$4 is great, but then you're like, dude, it's only $4 more. So. But okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Let's see, this is what I'll do. We'll be here till 5 a.m. But I do want to say thank you very much. This has been wonderful, and again, met you before, talked to you on a few streams before, but we've never really had a one-on-one too much. At the restaurant, we did talk about sports, and oddly enough, it just happened to be the day of the draft, which was in Detroit. So just kind of funny about that. But thank you very much, and yeah, I look forward to meeting you or to seeing you again when we get to Joe Fest, and I'm sure I'll see you on a few more streams before then. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
Tell everyone again where they can find you at.
I had Emerald_Night_photos on Instagram, and then again we have a live show every Tuesday, Geeked Out Live. YouTube channel for that is geeked_out or geeked_out_click. So
I'm gonna get that in the description either tonight or tomorrow, I promise. You'll be able to find it a lot easier. So again, thank you, and to everyone, I will see you guys all on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. I'm trying to find out where the ending is here.